Immortality begins by becoming an alchemy master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, Lucifer Dust. Rumble. Thunder roared, and the might of heaven and earth made the whole Daofang quiet. The lively scene of the sky full of light in the past was much less now. After all, no one dared to guarantee that flying in the sky would not be unlucky enough to be struck by lightning. I don't know if that counts as early tribulation. Daofang City covers a large area, with an inner city, and a 3-level formation, which is enough to defend against attacks by monsters below the 3rd level. Even if a 3rd-level monster suddenly attacks, it can often resist for a while, enough for people in the city to react. Of course, such a large formation requires a lot of daily maintenance, so it only includes the inner city. In comparison, the gathering place of scattered cultivators with the inner city as the core is not so safe. In the 4 directions of southeast, northwest, tens of thousands of wooden and stone houses stand scattered. Next to a stream in the southwest corner, a wooden house with 1 bedroom, 1 living room and 1 kitchen stayed there quietly, and it was nearly 2 miles away from the nearest residence of scattered cultivators. It was quiet outside, but the kitchen was bustling with activity. Cut 1 pound of sliced yam, 2 ounces of white poria, and 3 ounces of annual ginseng. 1 pound of first-level monster beef, cut into mincemeat, without any bone residue. Add onion, ginger, glutinous rice, and fennel. The voice of muttering came from a shirtless young man. He stared at the pot intently, and from time to time he skillfully took out some ingredients from the wooden rack next to him and added them to the pot. The pot and spoon in his hand were even more stirring. As a large pot of snow-white beef bone soup fell, Luo Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He fiddled with the firewood in the stove, pulling out a few pieces of firewood from time to time, and then quietly waited for the finished product. An hour later, the young man opened the lid of the pot and looked at the sticky pot inside, and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Look at the color, it's moist, white and bright, top quality. Smell the fragrance, it's sticky but not dry, top quality. Luo Chen stretched out his finger, poked a little from the spoon, and stuffed it into his mouth. Take a sip. The spirit of Yuanzu appeared. Under the stimulation of Angelica and ginseng, the spiritual energy of the 5 caddies of first-level monster yellow beef has been evenly distributed into this Bigu powder. Okay, the taste is also very good, top grade. Licking his fingers, Luo Chen couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. According to the experience of these days, this pot of Bigu powder can at least make 5 bottles of Bigu pills. It sounds a bit funny, but in fact Luo Chen is making pills. And it is the Bigu pill most commonly used by most cultivators, although it is only a low-end version, which can be called Bigu powder at most. Without waiting for the temperature to drop, take it out of the pot and pour it on the chopping board. Luo Chen picked up a yellowed bamboo slip, poured the sticky paste on it, poured a few drops of 100 flowers honey, and then began to roll the bamboo slip. Under the rolling of the bamboo slip, the hot Bigu powder gradually became cylindrical, and the color became slightly yellow due to the integration of 100 flowers honey. He moved his hands very quickly, breaking the cylindrical ointment into round pills, each the size of a thumb. 1, 2, 3. When Luo Chen stopped working, 50 Bigu pills were neatly arranged on the chopping board. Looking at this result, Luo Chen had no time to be happy, and his attention was focused on the panel in front of him that was invisible to outsiders. Name, Luo Chen, lifespan 27/75, spiritual roots, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, realm, 3rd level of key refining. 75/100, kung fu, master of Chongchun kung fu. 235/300, spells, cleaning technique 49/100, entanglement technique 176/200, fireball technique 268/300, skills, 1st level alchemist, Grand Master of Bigu Powder 501, 1000, achievement points. 10 points, can be used to get started with corresponding realm techniques, spells, and skills. I got 10 achievement points, which I can use to get started with the Zongmiao Pills. Looking at this proficiency panel, Luo Chen was actually a little touched. I've been here for a year. In his previous life, he was just a social animal who went out early and came back late. When he had some free time, He could only play the Xiangxia upgrade game on his mobile phone. Because he had no money, he could only rely on his hard work to play this kind of game, and he would work hard to fill the progress bar of the technique whenever he had time. Who knew that one night when he couldn't sleep, he was playing a game dungeon, and he traveled through time. The original owner of this body was also called Luo Chen, and he was even the same age as him. In his early years, he went deep into the mountains and had an adventure in a cave. He met the remains of an immortal cultivator and embarked on a 10-year journey of immortal cultivation. Following the map in the remains, he came to the Staofeng city, wanting to participate in the recruitment of disciples of the nearby sect. However, he was already 17 years old 10 years ago, which was over the 16-year age limit of the sect. In addition, he had a balanced physique of 5 spiritual roots, which was comparable to mortals without spiritual roots, so no sect wanted him. It stands to reason that where you come from, you should go back. But the original owner's heart to seek the truth was very firm. Relying on a bottle of elixir, a volume of Chongchunguang, and a few spiritual stones in the adventure, he settled down in the Staofeng city. In the early days, because of his lack of money, he couldn't even afford to live in a wooden house near the inner city, and could only rent a house by the outermost stream. Living in the market is not easy. Even the outermost house needs half a lingxi rent per month. Although he built the house himself, he still has to pay half a lingxi every month. After spending all the lingxi, the original owner did not sit still. He either helped others to look after the stall or went into the mountains with others to hunt. In short, he stayed with difficulty. Later, he felt that this was not a big deal, so he simply thought about the 2 pill recipes in the remains. The Zongmiao Pill is a bit difficult, so he can only start with the lowest level of Bigu powder. It can only be said that people who have adventures are more or less blessed. After several failures in the early stage, he successfully refined Bigu powder. Although the quality is average, for some casual cultivators who often go into the mountains to hunt for 10 days or half a month, there are always people who buy it. With this, the original owner reluctantly settled down in the Staofeng city. However, there are unexpected changes in the world, and people are subject to misfortunes at any time. After feeling that Bigu powder was not enough to support his practice, the original owner set his sights on a fragmentary pill recipe he had collected. Then when he tried to refine the pill for the first time, the pot exploded. The violent explosion even collapsed the wooden house. It was at that time that Luo Chen came through and occupied this body. Thinking of the situation at the beginning of the time travel, Luo Chen wanted to cry but had no tears. It was also raining heavily at that time. In the ruins, he faced the world at a loss with a bloody face. But fortunately, everything is over. After a year, the proficiency of the Bigu powder has finally reached the Grandmaster level from the perfect level, and it can meet daily life. The biggest gain is that the achievement points have accumulated to 10 points, which can be used to enter the entry-level Zongmiao Pill. Luo Chen now has a total of 3 pill recipes in his hand. The first level Bigu powder recipe, the first level Zongmiao Pill recipe, and a second level incomplete pill recipe that the original owner got by chance. The recipe is called Jade Pill. If it is successfully refined, you can get the second level Jade Pill, which is very useful for cultivators who practice water-attributed exercises. The normal price of a bottle is as high as 1 medium-grade spirit stone. With such a huge profit, it is no wonder that the original owner was so excited. Maybe he believed in his luck, or maybe the easy entry of Bigu powder gave him confidence, or maybe it was the reality of poverty that made him take risks. Anyway, he bravely rushed forward. The final result was that the pot exploded, the house collapsed, and the people were gone. Now Luo Chen has also come to this moment of decision. Relying on Bigu powder alone can only keep him alive, and it is definitely not enough to practice. If he wants to have resources to practice, he must open up another way to make money besides Bigu powder. His goal is not on Yulu pill at all, and 10 achievement points are not enough to get started with a second level pill refining. Therefore, after he discovered the achievement point function on the proficiency panel, he had already made up his mind. I must refine the Zongmiao Pill. I can't not refine it. Even if I don't want fame. The new book is released. I hope that the brothers who like it will read it every day. If you are used to keeping a book, please help Xiao click the latest chapter to the end every day. The number of follow-up readings involves recommended PK. The more you read, the more chances you have to be recommended. Thank you everyone, this is really important to Xiao. Chapter 2, 5 yuan a month. The next day, Early in the morning, Luo Chen got up early and put the pills on the chopping board into 5 jade bottles, 10 pills each. He put on the only low-grade robe he could show off, carried the low-grade flying sword, and hurried out. He had to get into the city early, otherwise when the sun rose, he would not be able to get a seat at the better stalls of the independent cultivators. Perhaps it was because it rained heavily all day yesterday, and the roads in the outer city area looked quite muddy. The closer to the center of the outer city area, the stronger the smell of feces, urine, medicine, humans and monsters. Especially with a mixture of earthy smell, that feeling was really unbearable. But Luo Chen had gotten used to it. An hour later, he arrived at the city gate. When entering the inner city, Luo Chen couldn't help but take a deep breath. Sure enough, the air in the inner city was good. I heard that the inner city is built on a first-level spiritual vein, which is quite beneficial for the cultivation of key refining cultivators. When I have money in the future, I must buy a house in the inner city. Secretly cheering himself up, Luo Chen went straight to the area for free cultivators in the southwest corner. In front of a bluestone slab, most of it was filled with yellow talisman paper and animal skins, and an old man was busy there. He arranged the animal skins, stood up and stretched, and just happened to see Luo Chen coming. "Fellow Taoist Luo, you came a little later than me this time." The old man's name is Chen Xiaoping, who is in the 6th level of key refining and is an old man in Daofang City. He has lived here for decades and makes a living by making talismans. He also has a good skill in tanning talisman skins. With his income level, he can barely rent a house in the inner city. But this old man is a bit stingy. He would rather live in a wooden house in the outer city for 1 low-grade spiritual stone a month than spend 10 times the price to live in a stone house in the inner city. In fact, he has calculated clearly even the stalls he sells. The stalls in the area for independent cultivators have to pay rent to the market manager. One stall costs 1 spirit stone per month. If you squeeze the stalls together, you can still squeeze out a small half square meter after placing the talismans and talisman skins. He simply gave this small half square meter to Luo Chen, and then they each paid half of the rent. Luo Chen suffered a loss? That can't be said. If he rented another stall, he would have to spend 1 spirit stone per month. Moreover, few cultivators like to sell things with others. So Luo Chen probably didn't lose, but Taoist Chen definitely made money. After a simple greeting, Luo Chen placed his things in front of the stall. 20 bottles of Bigu pills. Taoist Chen looked at the number and couldn't help but be surprised. "Fellow Taoist Luo, your alchemy level has improved recently." No wonder he said that. Luo Chen usually comes to set up a stall once every 7 days, 4 or 5 times a month. And each time, the number of Bigu pills sold is about 15 or 16 bottles. This time, he took out a full 20 bottles. It can be seen that he must have made great progress in refining the Bigu pill. In fact, it is true. In 7 days, excluding the day of setting up the stall and buying materials, the remaining 6 days are used to process the materials and the other half to refine the pill. In other words, there are only 3 days to refine the pill. In the past, Luo Chen worked hard and only made 2 pots a day, and collected about 5 bottles of Bigu pill. The material loss rate was really high. But yesterday, his Bigu pill refining skills were promoted from perfect level to grandmaster level. The last pot directly produced 5 bottles. In addition, he had good luck before, and the loss was reduced to very low level. This time, he collected 20 bottles of Bigu pill. No, practice makes perfect. Luo Chen smiled modestly, but there was still some complacency in his eyes. The Bigu pill refining skills that have just entered the grandmaster level are more or less impressive. Chen Xiaoping shook his head. There are few fellow practitioners who sell fasting pills, but none of them can produce 20 bottles in 5 days like you do. After saying that, he reached out and touched the nearest bottle. "You didn't mix flour in to make up the number, did you? As an old senior, I have to check for you. Don't ruin the reputation of our stall." Luo Chen smiled as he watched him take action, and he had already picked up a talisman with red lines drawn on it. "I heard that last time someone bought your key-retaining talisman, it didn't work, and most of his butt was bitten by a monster. I'd better take one back to study it for you. You can't ruin our reputation." Taoist Chen was anxious, and he didn't care about the pills in his hand, and quickly snatched the talisman back from Luo Chen. "You only sell 5 bottles of fasting pills for 1 spirit stone, and you have the nerve to exchange them for my key-retaining talismans that cost 3 spirit stones each. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. Luo Chen smiled as he watched the old man put the talisman in the most conspicuous place. The key-gathering talisman is the flagship product of Taoist Chen. Among all his low-level talismans, which cost 1 spirit stone each, this one is the most expensive, with a starting price of 3 low-grade spirit stones. In fact, the market for the key-gathering talisman is also the best, especially for those cultivators who go into the mountains to hunt monsters. This kind of spirit talisman that can conceal blood and ki for an hour can save a life at a critical moment, and its value is not inferior to many defensive talismans. Sometimes, Luo Chen is actually very envious of Taoist Chen. Selling a talisman casually is at least 1 spirit stone, and a net profit of at least more than 100 a month. Unlike himself. In the past, I worked hard to earn 12 spirit stones a month, and after deducting the cost, I only got 6 or 7 spirit stones. If I deduct half a spirit stone for rent, half a spirit stone for stall fees, and 1 spirit stone for daily food and drink, I can only have 4 or 5 left in the end. This is after a year of traveling through time, and it took a long time to save money. It is hard to imagine what kind of life the original owner lived in the early days. But envy is only temporary. Luo Chen knows very well that each of the 4 mainstream immortal cultivation arts has its own difficulties. The profit of pills is greater if they are sold in large quantities. The difficulty lies in getting started with various pill recipes. From getting started to mastering each kind of pill, I don't know how many furnaces will be wasted. The quality of the talismans is the quality. Each talisman can be said to be the result of all the energy and spirit of the cultivator when drawing it. A slight mistake means that everything will be lost. Moreover, the lifespan of a talisman maker is often not very long, and no one knows why. Just like Chen Xiaoping, he looks old, but he is actually only in his 60s. Well, he seems to be very old. However, in theory, a cultivator in the key refining stage can live for 120 to 130 years, and 60 years old is considered young. It is impossible to switch to talisman maker. It is impossible to do homework every day in this life. It is better to refine pills and make dumplings. Moreover, Luo Chen's family knows their own business. The master-level refining technology of the Bigu powder can already double the income in the future. Although the monthly income of 10 yuan is still not enough to support the cultivation of longevity, net income, it is at least on the right track. Moreover, the new project can be started soon, right? Just when Luo Chen was looking forward to the future, Taoist Chen pulled his sleeve. Business is coming. Chapter 3. Just say you want it. 3 male monks in tight robes came up and bent over to look at the things on the bluestone slab. Hey, key-gathering talisman, what a good thing. How much is one? 5 spirit stones for one, a must-have item for home travel, hunting in the mountains. At the critical moment, activate this talisman, and the nose of the thorn wolf can't even smell you. It's so expensive, why don't you go and rob it? Just tell me if you want it or not. Make it cheaper, we are going into the mountains, and we need to buy many kinds of talismans. It's okay to buy a stack from you. Why don't you go and ask around? I have a good reputation in Dahofang City, and I have the skills to make talismans. Besides, the talisman can give you a discount, so when the monster pounces on you, can it bite you less? 3 spirit stones for this key-gathering talisman, plus 3 earth thorn talismans, and 6 fireball talismans. 4. It can't be any less. This key-gathering talisman is my unique business, and I only make one a month. The 3 male monks discussed it and decided to buy the key-gathering talisman. After finishing the calculation, they turned their attention to the jade bottle in the corner. Bigu pills. Luo Chen became excited. 1 pill is enough to fill you up. 10 pills will keep you from starving for 3 days and 3 nights. How many bottles do you want? How much? Let me tell you, my Bigu pills are made of high-quality first-grade beef as the main material, supplemented with ginseng and angelica, and finally refined with the specialty of Yao Wang sect, Beho fragrant honey. They are definitely of good quality and low price. Are they really that good? Come, smell the fragrance, isn't it? Look at the color, it is definitely not mixed with flour to fake it. I dare say that no one in this area has better quality than mine. Brother, it does seem to be more fragrant than the Bigu pills we bought before. Yes, this Taoist friend knows the goods at a glance. I'm afraid you were cheated before. Those Bigu pills tasted grainy, right? They must have used fake beef. How much? 4 bottles for only 1 spirit stone. Why don't you go and grab them? Just say whether you want them or not. There will be no such good goods after the stall. I tell you, I have a lot of old customers. Wait a minute, I will sell them all and go home. Can you make it cheaper? It seems that the three Taoist friends are sincere in buying. How about this, 1 spirit stone for 5 bottles? Is that okay? Just consider it as making friends. When I release new elixirs in the future, I will give you discounts. Okay, 10 bottles. I still have some stocks left, so I'll try yours this time. After the payment and goods were settled, Luo Chen and Chen Liodao bowed and wished, safe journey into the mountains, and a bountiful harvest. After the people left, the two smiled at each other. Chen Liodao quietly placed another key-retaining talisman on the stall. Didn't you say that you only need 1 per month? As the sun rose, the southwest corner of the casual cultivation area became more and more lively. There were people selling elixirs, techniques, and monster meat everywhere. There was an endless stream of people buying things and bargain hunting, and occasionally 1 or 2 disciples wearing the standard Taoist robes of the Jading Sword sect appeared. The appearance of the latter made the casual cultivators even more excited, and the prices they shouted out were several times higher. The people of the sect are all big fat sheep. But this has nothing to do with Luo Chen. The Bigu pill is the most common commodity, and every sect has it. Moreover, the Bigu pill he refined was the lowest level Bigu pill, which could not even be called a pill, but was just Bigu powder kneaded into a pill. This kind of thing, no matter how well he refined it, had no competitiveness. By noon, Luo Chen's goods were almost sold out. There were only 20 bottles in total, which was not much at all, and this was the goods that Luo Chen had saved for 6 or 7 days. It can only be said that low-level alchemists are too miserable. If they were not supported by the sect family, the low-level alchemists who practice as independent cultivators would be even more inhumane. Without packing anything, Luo Chen gave Chen Liodao a few pieces of beef jerky made from scraps, and planned to leave. Before leaving, Chen Liodao called him while chewing beef jerky with water. You want a new elixir? It's not the incomplete elixir formula you found last year, is it? Don't be too ambitious, kid. I've seen many casual alchemists who have lost everything in their research on new elixir formulas. It's not easy for you to save those spirit stones. Why don't you go to the spiritual medicine pavilion to buy 2 bottles of Yankee pills to improve your cultivation? This is a rare sincere word from the stingy old man who likes to take advantage. Luo Chen can hear the sincerity of the other party. In fact, the price paid by the original owner for the incomplete elixir formula is even greater than what Chen Liodao said. However, Luo Chen has other ideas and naturally won't do such a thing. You should pay attention to your teeth, old man. This beef jerky is easy to break your teeth. Chen Liodao bit off a piece of beef jerky with a ferocious face. The meat shred stuck in the gap between his teeth, which was quite uncomfortable, but he still forced himself to swallow it. He glared at Luo Chen. Get lost. Luo Chen smiled and squeezed into the crowd in a few seconds and disappeared. It was still the area of independent cultivators in the southwest corner, but he came to the herbal medicine distribution area. After years of wandering around this place, he was familiar with the buying and selling of various goods. Sister Wang, is this what your husband just brought back from the mountains? It seems that it has not been dried yet. I am afraid that those who know the goods will not like it. I am doing a good deed today, so I will reluctantly buy 10 kilograms. This piece of Polygonum multiflorum, I am afraid it is not even 10 years old. Make it cheaper, I want it. Jade Yam, yes, 50 kilograms. I used to buy 20 kilograms for a spiritual stone, but now it has doubled, so please give me a discount. Forget it, I won't bargain. You can give me a redwood fruit, this one, it's big enough. For an afternoon, Luo Chen wandered around this herbal medicine area, purchasing a large number of various herbs he needed. Because they were all sold by independent cultivators on the street, the quality of the goods depended entirely on a pairwise, and the price depended entirely on oneself. After talking until his lips were dry, Luo Chen finally purchased most of them. Next, he had to go to the center of the inner city. The Spiritual Medicine Pavilion, one of the 6 top shops in Daohofang City, is located in the most conspicuous place in the center of the city. It is 5 stories high, with flying eaves and painted walls, carved railings and jade bricks, which is really beautiful. However, this place only sells finished elixirs, and it is not a place that Luo Chen can afford for the time being. His destination is Baikeodang next to the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion. It is said that the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion and Baikeodang are both from the Medicine King sect, but I don't know why they are divided into two storefronts. Compared with the high-end Spiritual Medicine Pavilion, Baikeodang is much more ordinary. A row of bungalows extends to the back, which looks ordinary. But once you get close, the rich smell of herbs hits you in the face. Luo Chen was shocked and gently put the big bag on his back at the door. The fat shopkeeper looked at the big bag, his eyes narrowed, his nose moved, and then he shook his head. Luo Chen didn't care and went to the counter. "Senior, do you have any dried scallops or fire dog whips?" Hearing the names of these two herbs, the fat shopkeeper looked at him with a playful look. Chapter 4 Introduction to the Zongmiao Wan. Dried scallops are okay, with a unique taste, and people often buy them to make soup. But the fire dog whip has a single purpose. How can a young man like him use this thing? He no need to call me senior, just call me shopkeeper Liu. What's your name, young friend? The fat shopkeeper asked with a smile. Hello, shopkeeper Liu, my last name is Luo, you can just call me Xiao Luo. Luo Chen couldn't help being so humble, because the kind fat shopkeeper in front of him exuded an aura that made him very uneasy. He had felt this aura before, and it was all naturally exuded by masters in the foundation building period. In front of such a master, he naturally had to be respectful. Shopkeeper Liu smiled slightly. So it's Brother Luo, I do have the two medicinal herbs you mentioned, but the quantity is indeed not much. Luo Chen had expected it in his heart. Daofang City is located in the border area close to the East Wilderness, which is an inland area stretching for thousands of miles. The two kinds of medicinal materials he inquired about, one of which, scallops, is a marine spiritual medicine, which often has to be transported from far away. It is foreseeable that the quantity will not be large, but it is good enough to have it. Can you get 100 pieces of scallops? I want 10 fire dog whips. There are so many, but the price is not cheap. Shopkeeper Liu said with a smile. The not cheap he mentioned is of course not very expensive, but it is based on Luo Chen's third level of key training. Especially the other party's clothes, it really doesn't look that rich. What's the price? 100 pieces of scallops are 10 low-grade spiritual stones, and 10 fire dog whips are also 10 low-grade spiritual stones. Luo Chen's eyelids twitched. He even suspected that this fat shopkeeper had a perspective eye, seeing that there were only 20 spiritual stones left in his arms. Is it so expensive? Do you want it? I will buy it for a long time in the future, can you give me a discount? Baikeodang, a 500-year-old store, with a chain in 4 regions, the price is fair and honest, no bargaining. Okay, pack it for me, here are 20 spiritual stones. Gritting his teeth, Luo Chen reluctantly took out 20 spiritual stones from his arms. The fat shopkeeper snatched the bag of spiritual stones from him at a speed that could not be seen by the naked eye. Xiaoling, grab 100 pieces of scallops and 10 fire dog whips. After getting the things, Luo Chen carried the big bag of herbs at the door and left Baikeodang with a knowing smile from the shopkeeper. While it was still light and there were no robbers on the road, Luo Chen returned home exhausted. Looking at the pile of things on the ground, Luo Chen sighed. Years of savings, all lost in one day. After careful calculation, I only saved 50 spiritual stones over the years, and I spent them all today. Especially the last 2 main materials, which cost 20 spiritual stones. This is a 500-year-old shop. It's a shady shop. I hope it closes down soon. After cursing the profiteer, Luo Chen forced himself to cheer up. I will come back, I will come back. I will earn more spiritual stones in the future. After saying that, he took off his low-grade robe, folded it carefully, and jumped into the stream next to him in his shorts. This place is relatively remote. Although it is also close to the East Wilderness Million Mountains, most people who go into the mountains go to the east when they come back, so it is sparsely populated. There is no need to worry about being seen by others and not committing suicide. After a refreshing wash, all the smells that were touched during the day were gone. Although he also knows the cleaning technique, it is more like using a ball of spiritual power to explode on his body to blow away the dust. It is not as refreshing as taking a bath. It only comes once when cleaning the robe. Back in the wooden house, Luo Chen changed his shorts and casually put on a gray linen shirt. With his wet long hair thrown behind him, he took out a package wrapped in cowhide from under the floor in the corner of the room. He opened the package and found a yellowed bamboo slip, a thin booklet, and a piece of parchment. The content on the bamboo slip was very simple. It was called Chong Chunguang, which was also Luo Chen's main practice method, and he only practiced it up to the 9th level of the key refining stage. It was said that this method was the entry-level practice of the Medicine King sect, and there was also the Yimu Medicine King Sutra on it. This method came from the remains found in a cave in a deserted mountain when he encountered a young boy. Luo Chen had never stopped practicing this method. In addition to practicing it every night, he would also practice it on the days when he was not refining pills. However, the effect was really minimal. Until now, he was still at the 3rd level of the key refining stage, and it was a long way from breaking through to the 4th level of the key refining stage. However, the proficiency of this method was rising quite fast, and it had already reached the mastery level. It was estimated that it would not take long before he could break through to the perfect level, and the Grandmaster level was just around the corner. He really wanted to know whether the Grandmaster level proficiency of Chong Chunguang could greatly improve his cultivation level. The parchment recorded the incomplete recipe of the Jade pill that his predecessor had found. Luo Chen didn't care much about it. Not to mention that the recipe was incomplete, he didn't plan to study it even if it was complete. After all, this was a 2nd-level pill that only foundation-building cultivators could use. He couldn't afford to prepare all the ingredients now. The original owner had exhausted his savings and barely gathered together a set of ingredients. He also found a lot of substitutes, thinking that he would become a big fat man in one bite. I'm afraid he was too poor. His attention was all on the booklet. He opened the thin booklet and the first 2 pages were written with a recipe of the Bigu powder. Unlike ordinary recipes that only marked the required medicinal materials, this booklet was filled with a proportion of various materials and the processing methods of various medicinal materials. Even the control of the heat was mentioned. It was because of this that the original body could easily get started. After only a few failures, he successfully refined the first Bigu powder. From then on, he also had the capital to stay in Daohofang City. Luo Chen had already read through the recipe. The next thing he was going to buy was the 5 pages at the back. Zongmiao Pill, water and fire are compatible, yin and yang are regulated, yang energy is stimulated, and the kidneys are not damaged, which has the effect of promoting sexual pleasure and delaying ejaculation. It is better to share happiness with others than to enjoy it alone. The intersection of yin and yang is wonderful. Therefore, this pill is named Zongmiao. To put it bluntly, this is the blue pill in the world of immortal cultivation. Of course, according to the description of the finished product, it should be red. If this thing is refined, there must be a market. As long as there are people, there will be demand for it, even cultivators. Even in this Daohofang City, one of the 6 top shops, there is a Xiangxiang building. There are few men who cultivate in this place, and a group of men who go into the mountains to hunt monsters and pick herbs at any time have a greater demand for this. As for why the original owner did not try to refine this kind of pill, Luo Chen could not guess the other party's psychology. Afraid of being embarrassed to sell this kind of pill? Immortal cultivation, not shabby. He calmed down and carefully read through the 5 pages of the recipe for the Zongmiao one again. The processing of each material, the order of addition, the timing, the weight of each portion, the control of the temperature. After remembering everything, Luo Chen opened the panel in his mind. Name, Luo Chen, lifespan 27/75, spiritual roots, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, realm, 3rd level of key refining. 75/100, skills, Chong Chunguang mastery. 235/300, spells, cleansing entry 49 out of 100, entanglement proficiency 176 out of 200, fireball mastery 268, 300, skills, 1st level alchemist, grandmaster of Bigu powder 501, 1000, achievement points. 10 points, can be used for corresponding realm skills, spells, and skills. His eyes paused for a moment on lifespan, and then fell on the last column. Achievement points. Each technique, skill, and spell will provide an achievement point as long as it breaks through a proficiency level. As long as 10 achievement points are collected, they can be used to enter any technique spell skill of the corresponding realm. It was not long since he got the cleansing technique, so he just started to learn it and did not have time to master it. Moreover, all spells consume a lot of spiritual energy. In addition to the pressure of survival, he put most of his energy into refining pills. In the end, he lived up to his expectations. The proficiency of refining the Bigu powder broke through to the Grandmaster level, bringing him a full 5 achievement points. Add 2 points of Chong Chunguang, 1 point of entanglement technique, and 2 points of fireball technique. It just accumulated to 10 points. And all whose savings are almost enough to collect the materials for refining the Zongmiao pills 10 times. Success or failure, it will be tomorrow. And now, Shenlin, add points. Oh, no, the Zongmiao pills refining technique, entry. With a thought, the 10 achievement points disappeared. Instead, there was an extra column of labels on the attribute panel. First level alchemist, Grandmaster of Bigu powder 501/1000, beginner of Zongmiao Pill 1/100. Chapter 5 Lord Guan blessed me to succeed in refining the elixir. The next morning, before daybreak, Luo Chen got up from his bed. It was foggy outside, and if you listen carefully, you could occasionally hear 1 or 2 beast roars from the 100,000 mountains. But these had nothing to do with him. He would be very busy today or in the future. First, he sorted out the various medicinal materials. Most of the medicinal materials bought from the stalls of casual cultivators were roughly processed, and some were not even dried yet. He put these things on a dustpan first, and took them out to dry in the sun when the sun came out. Then came the jasper lotus seeds. They had to be peeled, and the kernel of the lotus seeds was the only thing left, and the skin was definitely not needed. Under the oil lamp, Luo Chen peeled them one by one until his eyes were a little dry, and then he stopped. I don't know if this will make me nearsighted. But I'm a cultivator, I can't be nearsighted. After processing a large pile of lotus seeds, it was already dawn. After soaking the lotus seeds in the diluted chicken blood of the red sun chicken, Luo Chen took out several dustpans to dry them. Living on the edge of the outer city is not very safe, but it also has its relative advantages, that is, the area available is very large. When refining the Bigu powder, there is a process that actually has a pungent smell. If it is refined in a crowded area, it is very likely to be complained. Chen Liodeo was complained more than once when he tanned the talisman leather at home. Later, he stuffed a few good talismans to the manager to fool him. Luo Chen didn't have this worry. The jade yam must be diced, and a part of it must be left for slicing. This part is reserved for refining Bigu powder. Luo Chen is not the kind of person who puts all his eggs in one basket. In the initial refining of the Zongmiao Wan, it is foreseeable that there will be many failures. It is even possible that all of them will fail and lose all the money. After all, it is just the beginning of proficiency. In this case, his original way of making money must not be cut off. The worst case is to lose all the money. In that case, he can at least rely on the income from Bigu powder to maintain his life and then make a comeback. After processing the jade yam, it was already noon. At this point, it's time to eat. Feeling the hunger in his stomach, Luo Chen curled his lips. It is said that immortal cultivators do not eat the 5 grains of the world, but in fact, they will still be hungry. After washing his hands, Luo Chen went into the kitchen. He scooped out a small bowl of crystal clear rice from the rice jar and poured it directly into a small pot without washing it. This is spiritual rice, and 1 spiritual stone can only buy 10 kilograms. He was reluctant to wash it, for fear of washing away some spiritual energy. He came to a secret compartment next to the kitchen and pressed it. A big hole suddenly appeared on the ground, and a small underground storage room of 3 feet square came into view. There was a small half of beef hanging inside. A first-level monster yellow cattle. This thing is also expensive, and it costs about 10 kilograms of a low-grade spiritual stone. The reason why Luo Chen has hundreds of kilograms of meat is not because he is greedy, but mainly because yellow beef is one of the main ingredients of the Bigu powder. 1 kilogram of meat, plus an appropriate amount of ginseng, angelica and various medicinal materials, can make 5 bottles of Bigu powder, and then sell for 1 spiritual stone. Every time he tries to buy as much as possible, the larger the quantity, the cheaper it is, and he stores it with ice. Looking at this small half of beef, Luo Chen drooled a little. Then he used a kitchen knife to cut off 2 tails of meat, and then took out some ordinary vegetables from the ice cellar. Wash the meat and vegetables, dice the vegetables, cut the meat into very thin slices, and finally put them all into the small pot. Add firewood. Light the fire. He pinched his hands together and chanted something. After about 2 breaths, a small fireball appeared in his hands. Go. With a puff, the firewood in the stove suddenly burned. This time it went smoothly. The fireball explosion incident like the one when I just crossed over should never happen again. Luo Chen smiled slightly, quite complacent. He took a look at the panel, and the proficiency of the mastery level of fireball magic jumped from 268 out of 300 to 269 out of 300. He has now practiced a total of 3 spells. The water-based cleaning spell, the wood-based entanglement spell, and the fire-based fireball spell. And among these 3 spells, the proficiency of the fireball spell is the highest. There is a reason for this. At first, he just thought that cultivating immortals was mysterious and fun, so he would cast fireballs for fun. He had experimented with the effect of this spell. It was slow and consumed a lot of energy, but it was really powerful. As long as the target was hit, it would melt gold and iron, burn bones and ashes. But the premise is to hide it. For a normal cultivator to release a fireball spell, it would take at least 3 breaths from pinching the fingers and chanting the spell. In 3 breaths, the enemy would be able to kill him 100 or 80 times. Luo Chen was similar at first, and every time he released it, he would consume 1/10 of his total spiritual power. Only then did he understand why low-level cultivators rarely used spells to fight. Either they used magic tools or talismans, both of which were fast, consumed less energy, and were no less powerful than spells. After knowing this situation, he lost interest in low-level spells such as fireball. However, as he refined the elixir and used the fireball spell to start the fire, his proficiency increased, and he felt that spells did not seem to be useless. Like now, the energy consumption remains the same, 1/10, but the speed has been reduced to within 2 breaths. This is only the mastery level. What if he reaches perfect proficiency? What if he reaches master level proficiency? So whenever he can use fireball, he will do it once or twice. A little bit adds up to a lot. With all these random thoughts, the rice in the pot is almost ready. Smelling the aroma of rice, Luo Chen took out a piece of pickled radish from the kimchi jar. A big bowl of beef rice, full of spiritual energy, attractive red, green, yellow and white colors, and a few pieces of sour and sweet pickled radish. Sitting under the eaves, facing the cool breeze and sun by the stream, feasting. This is the most enjoyable time of Luo Chen every day. If there is no pressure of survival, no pursuit of immortality, such a meal every day can really be regarded as enjoyment. Unfortunately, Luo Chen has no choice. He is a man with a system. Even in the dark night, he will eventually shine. Fuck, why is this thing so smelly? The man who is destined to shine, holding his chest, lay down beside the stream and retched continuously. He didn't expect that the fire dog we bought from Bakeodang would stink to such an extent when it was specially processed. After putting on a mask, Luo Chen mustered up his courage and started to process the fire dog whip again. While turning over the epidermis with his hands and applying the special juice, he silently said, "This thing doesn't stink, this thing doesn't stink. It's a spiritual stone, all spiritual stones, and fragrant spiritual stones." After processing a fire dog whip, he couldn't wait to rush to the stream. Ugh. The processing of raw materials is very laborious and time-consuming, but it can't be discounted at all. It can even be said that it is more critical than the technique of the refining process. It's a simple truth. No matter how perfect your pill formula is, how exquisite your technique is, and how top-notch your alchemy equipment is, if there is a problem with the material itself, the final result is doomed. Just like building a high-rise building, if there is a problem with the foundation, what else can you talk about? It took 7 days, and all kinds of raw materials were semi-processed and deep-processed to the most perfect level possible. Luo Chen also found time to refine a few pots of Bigu san, and kneaded them into pills and packed them up. But he didn't plan to sell them this time. He planned to wait until the Zongmiao pills were refined, and then sell them together. In the next period of time, the iron pot containing a little spiritual ore will be cleaned and used to refine Zongmiao pills. Standing in front of the stove, Luo Chen solemnly put on an apron for himself. He bowed to the blackened kitchen roof, Master Guan from my hometown, Taishang Laojin, and the local Dan Sheng, please bless me to succeed in this pot. Open the pot. Fire. Chapter 6, Failure can still increase proficiency. Poof. Looking at the black mass in the pot and smelling the burnt smell, Luo Chen's eyes were red and his face was ashen. Failed. The 6th pot, failed again. This was the 6th day of refining the Zongmiao pills. He refined it in an orderly manner at the rate of 1 pot a day. The final result hurt him. None of them succeeded. The best time was just a pot of light red paste. He was very sure that the final product written in the pill recipe was dark red, redder than his patriotism. He picked up the pot with a somewhat lonely look and poured the black mass on the other side of the stream. Then, by the stream, he used a loofah to wash the pot intermittently. In his mind, he kept replaying the previous refining process. There is no problem with the proportion of the ingredients. I have used a scale to be extremely precise. The order of adding the raw materials is also correct. Each time, they are added at the time when the symptoms appear. Is it a problem with the temperature? Or is it that the firewood is not good? But the recipe says that as long as it is peach wood, it is not possible to have very high requirements for a mere first-level elixir. Or is it that my technique is wrong? The successive failures made Luo Chen begin to doubt himself. He even wondered if he had no talent for alchemy, and the success of the Bigu powder was only because the original owner had talent and he got into it himself. He just stole someone else's game account and walked briskly on a well-trodden road. Wow! There was a splash of water on his face. It was a big carp swimming over. When it passed by here, it jumped up and splashed water on his face. There are more and more fish in the stream recently. It is estimated that they were swept over by the rising water from the Langkang River. Luo Chen was furious when he took a look at the fish that was about to swim away. Barrel of energy. Fireball. A lump of black charcoal floated up from the water and drifted away along the stream. He looked down at the iron pot in his hand that had been washed clean. Could it be that it's a problem with the equipment? Luo Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly like the male protagonist of an online novel. He knew the dilemma of his own alchemy. He had no famous teacher to guide him, no family to support him, and even no equipment to make the alchemy. Others used the best alchemy furnaces, burning the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, but he just used an iron pot to boil the medicine. But the price of a good alchemy furnace is 10 times more expensive than that of a flying sword of the same level. Even the defensive magic tools that casual cultivators like the most are not as precious as the alchemy furnace. It would have bankrupted him to be able to gather the raw materials for 10 sets of the wonderful pills, and he couldn't even think about buying an alchemy furnace or a medicine cauldron. Moreover, the worst alchemy furnace could not be burned by ordinary firewood. At least the first-level spiritual wood had to be used as firewood, and the alchemist had to constantly adjust the fire with spiritual power. He couldn't afford the first-class spiritual wood, and he didn't have the cultivation to constantly adjust the temperature with spiritual power. Sometimes he also wanted to be like the legendary alchemist, who had produced dozens of pills right out of the furnace, instead of kneading the ointment into a ball with his hands while it was boiling hot. Everyone knows that thing is hot. Some ointments even have negative effects on the body. This is not unconditional. After a while of self-pity, Luo Chen put the pot back on the stove, untied his apron and sat at the door. Facing the afterglow of the setting sun, he slapped himself twice. Why think about those things? I've gambled my entire fortune, and even if I hide a wall this time, I have to break the wall first. I won't practice tomorrow, I'll adjust my mentality first. Everyone knows the truth that haste makes waste. But when the time comes, you often have to hide a lot of bumps before you realize that you are anxious. There was nothing to do in the evening, and Luo Chen was full of anger. He had to vent it out. So, fireball. 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 The stream suffered, and the fish in the river complained bitterly. 9 consecutive full-strength fireballs consumed all the spiritual power in his body. With 9 points of proficiency in hand, Luo Chen tiredly returned to the house, sat cross-legged and practiced Chong Chun Gong. After one big cycle, his spiritual power recovered by 1/5. After another big cycle, his spiritual power recovered by another 1/5. Well, that's it. Low-level cultivators are not physically strong, and their spirits and souls have not undergone qualitative changes. Practicing 2 or 3 times a night is almost the limit. Luo Chen fell asleep in the second half of the night. When he woke up the next day, his spiritual power was still less than half restored. The limited spiritual power actually limited his desire to use spell proficiency to break through the level and gain achievement points. It takes 5 days to recover after 1 day of practicing fireball. Even the low-energy cleaning technique requires enough time. Luo Chen does not live in a particularly safe place, so he must always retain some monitorship. In fact, when he got up in the morning, he was a little scared. He was really crazy last night and used up all his spiritual power. If he encountered a monster that came here, he would not have much ability to resist. Don't do this again in the future, remember. He muttered, sat cross-legged and practiced Chong Chun Gong. His spiritual power was restored to 1/5 again. Then he opened the attribute panel. Name, Luo Chen, lifespan 27/75, spiritual roots, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, realm, 3rd level of key refining. 75/100, skills, Chong Chun Gong mastery. 249/300, spells, cleaning skill entry 51 out of 100, entanglement skill proficiency 176 out of 200, fireball skill perfection 304/500, skills, 1st level alchemist, Bigu powder master 507, 1000, all wonderful pills entry 3/100, achievement points. 1 point, can be used for corresponding realm skills, spells, skills entry. Looking at the attribute panel, Luo Chen was a little dazed. If nothing unexpected happened, the lifespan should be his lifespan before crossing over. The original owner of this body had died long ago, and the lifespan should be 0. The reason why he wanted to earn spirit stones so much was actually for cultivation and longevity. He felt a little sad when he thought that if he didn't cross over, he could only live 75 years on Earth. He couldn't even reach the level of a happy funeral at the age of 80, and his descendants couldn't even dance at the funeral, even though he was just a single dog before he crossed over. So in this life, he must practice step by step to the highest level and live the longest. Then the cold reality slapped him in the face. Half a month had passed, and he had never stopped practicing Chong Chun Gong twice a day. But his realm remained motionless. With a balanced physique of 5 spiritual roots, he couldn't be so useless. How did the previous owner practice to the 3rd level of the key refining stage? It couldn't be that the owner of the remains left him a few large bottles of key nourishing pills. After the cold reality, he was moved by the welfare of the crossover. The proficiency of Chong Chun Gong increased by 26 points, although he didn't feel anything. In the spell column, the cleaning spell increased by 2 points, one for him to wash the robe, and the other for washing the iron pot to thoroughly wash away the miscellaneous smell left by the original refining of the Bigu powder. The entanglement spell basically didn't change, and he didn't want the whole blue-silver entanglement to cross the level and kill the golden core stage. As for the fireball technique, after releasing it twice a day at the maximum, plus the extravagance last night, the proficiency of the technique has skyrocketed by 36 points. Now he has broken through the mastery level and reached the perfect level. It also provides an achievement point for breaking the level. I don't know what it feels like to use the perfect level of fireball technique. But now the spiritual power in my body has not been fully restored, so I should suppress my excited heart and hands. Thinking of this, Luo Chen closed the attribute panel. But before closing it, his eyes subconsciously jumped from the achievement point. He blinked and quickly opened the panel again. Wait. Skills. 1st level alchemist, Grandmaster of Bigu powder 507, 1000. Entry level of all wonderful pills 3/100. He remembered very clearly that after using the achievement points to get started with all wonderful pills, his proficiency should have been only 1 point, but now it is 3 points. But he has never successfully refined all wonderful pills once. Can proficiency increase after failure? Chapter 7 Happy Journey. Since he inherited everything from this body, his proficiency has only increased under the premise of success. So he never considered the possibility that failure would increase his proficiency. But think about it carefully, why can't failure increase proficiency? Success is never a direct success, but accumulated through repeated failures. Although there is little experience gained from failure, aren't those weak experiences also successful? Just like learning to drive, a novice really can't go through a drain. But a successful uphill start, a successful side parking, a successful straight line acceleration, aren't they successes again and again? It is precisely relying on these weak small successes that he finally accumulated to become a veteran driver who cuts in the big city and a car god on the curves of Akina Mountain. And there is one more thing. It's not that he didn't have a complete success. He had one. The system achievement points helped him get started directly, which actually means that he had a successful experience. Why can only sects and immortal cultivation families support orthodox alchemists, while there are very few casual alchemists? The reason is actually very simple, but the initial investment is too large. Even an alchemy apprentice who keeps failing and can't even see the hope of success, can only look on with huge investment in the early stage. But the sects and families are different. They have enough financial resources to support the continuous failures in the early stage. As long as the alchemy apprentice succeeds once, he will have the experience of success, and it is natural to repeat the success in the future. This is why the successful will always succeed. And Luo Chen actually has a force behind him to cultivate him, so that he can skip all the failed investment stages in the early stage and get started directly. And the system is even more awesome than the sects and families. Some people really have no talent, but as long as Luo Chen gets started, he will have a certain talent. Of course, this entry depends on the achievement points provided by each skill proficiency breakthrough. So, all my success comes from my own efforts. After discovering that his proficiency was rising, Luo Chen's mood, which had been adjusted to a certain level, became even better. He even screamed like a chicken blood. But yesterday, he figured out the truth that haste makes waste, and he also knew that this excitement was not suitable for direct alchemy. So today, he planned to do something else to change things up. What to do? Practice martial arts. To put it more accurately, it should be practicing Qigong. People know their own business. His realm is not high, his magic power is not strong, and the low-grade flying sword in his hand is just a showpiece. He has not even learned the traction technique, and the flying sword can only be used to chop. When the original owner entered the mountain, he was actually at the outermost edge, helping others to carry monster meat back to the city. In this case, how can you have the greatest ability to save your life? The answer is of course to be able to run. Logically speaking, the most suitable way for a cultivator in the key refining period to run away is the God-walking talisman, or to control the magic weapon to fly for a short time, and the worst is the magic wind control technique. But unfortunately, the God-walking talisman is very expensive, and most people can't buy it. The magic weapon needs the traction technique to cooperate, and the effect is even worse than the wind control technique. And then the wind control technique, a common product, Luo Chen couldn't afford it before. A book costs dozens of low-grade spirit stones. So he can only set his sights on the Qigong of secular martial arts. Although it is only a common martial art, it is not useless, at least it does not rely on spiritual power. Luo Chen does not have much spiritual power to begin with. The spiritual power of low-level casual cultivators is not much better. In many cases, they fight by standing still to output. Therefore, secular light skills that do not consume spiritual power still have their place. Sitting at the gate, he spread out a light skill secret book that he bought from the market for 10 taels of gold. Xiaoyaoyu is a very awesome name. The introduction is also awesome. Ride the righteousness of heaven and earth, control the debate of the sixth key, and travel the infinite. Of course, it is actually just a great fantasy of the founder. After reading it carefully several times, Luo Chen tried to get started. No, he tried it. This is not a set of combat light skills that mainly relies on strange footsteps, but a light skill that uses borrowing force, unloading force, adjusting the body shape at high speed, and coordinating with rhythmic breathing to achieve fast and long-distance running. When he first got started, Luo Chen was still a little uncomfortable. What is borrowing force and unloading force? It sounds a bit mysterious. How to control the sixth key? But after running for a whole morning on the plain on the other side of the stream, he did learn some lessons. When the wind is strong, adjust your body shape and change the wind direction. Don't go against the wind. If there are branches or high slopes, you can use the force to jump. When landing, you can either release the force and land lightly, or use the force to rebound and run out faster. The breathing rhythm should not be disordered, and the mentality should be calm. Although it is not free and easy, you must stick to your heart and do your best. Hey, don't say it, this Qigong is really inside. While eating lunch, Luo Chen took a look at the proficiency panel. In the skill column, there was an additional, free and easy tour entry. 13/100. I have entered the door, and my proficiency is rising quite fast. Cultivating immortals is like a turtle crawling, and martial arts is like a rock flying. It turns out that I am a 1 in a million martial arts genius. Holding the big bowl, Luo Chen grinned foolishly. It's a pity that martial arts cannot make you immortal, otherwise it is not impossible to play with a whole martial arts saint. After practicing Xiaoyaoyu for half a day in the afternoon, Luo Chen became more and more proficient, and his proficiency increased rapidly. When Luo Chen rested, he thought deeply about it and finally attributed it to his current physical strength. He ate spiritual rice and monster meat every day, and practiced Chong Chun Gong to breathe in and out spiritual energy. Even if he was a pig, he would be a monster pig. If his physique is strong, wouldn't he be able to use his body better? Just like those basketball superstars in the world, do you think they became superstars by relying on technology? No, they must first have a body full of talent. Even the superstars who are called the most untalented have stronger bodies than those ordinary professional basketball players. His physical strength is high enough now. He has a whole book of physical training secrets, which is not a super performance, but just the development of the body functions that should be there. In the evening, Luo Chen soaked in a 1-meter deep stream and lowered his head to dig out a pile of yellow mud. Then he made a clay figure based on his memory. With phoenix eyes and long eyebrows, he looked handsome and majestic. The girls from the art academy praised him for his good carving. Master Guan, wait for me. I will glue a beard on you tonight and carve a green dragon crescent blade for you. As he was muttering, a few beast roars were heard from the forest a few miles away from the plain. Then, several rays of light flew out of the woods. Luo Chen stood up quickly and alertly, went back to the house, picked up his magic sword, and closed the door. On the plain on the other side of the stream, the rays of light had already landed in the weeds, looking into the depths of the mountains. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. Do you know Yun Zhonghe? Why did the Frost Wolf Pack run to the outskirts recently? It's really bad luck. It's a pity that we didn't have time to cut up the 2 first-level monsters we hunted and put them in the storage bag. Maybe it's time for the Wolf King to compete in the Howling Moon Mountains again. It is said that there was a time hundreds of years ago when many wolf packs ran to the outskirts to avoid disaster. Forget it, let's go back to the market to rest first. I've been exhausted recently. Well, I'm glad that everyone is okay. In just a few words, with anger and relief after surviving a disaster, several cultivators walked from the plain to the center of the market. When they passed Luo Chen's house, they paused. Then a crisp and straightforward female voice came over. Dao, I'm afraid it's not peaceful here recently. If you have the ability, you should move to a place closer to the inner city. Luo Chen didn't reply. If he had the ability, he would have moved long ago. Moreover, the place near the inner city is not the inner city, so how can it be considered safe? Those casual cultivators live on the edge of a knife, and they often cut off the road in the dark. On the way into the city, he saw bloodstains and corpses on the ground more than once. Although this place is dangerous, in fact, the monks in the market area of the plains set up anti-beast belts every year. Low-level monsters instinctively do not come in, and the stronger second-level monsters dare not approach the human gathering area. Relatively speaking, it is relatively safe for him to live here now. Moreover, he usually acts poor and works hard to earn a few spirit stones a month to make a living, and few monks look down on him. Wei Niang, why do you care about that kid? He takes a bath and needs mud on the stream in broad daylight. He must be a newcomer to Daofang. Go home. Perhaps because he didn't hear the reply, the people outside muttered a few words and left together. Hearing the departure of several people, Luo Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Compared with monsters, he is more afraid of human monks. But what Wei Niang said also makes sense. This is a different time. If there is really any movement in Zongmiao mountain range, the closest southwest area is really dangerous. My mood is almost adjusted. I'm neither too relaxed nor too tense. Let's start refining the elixir tomorrow. It will definitely succeed this time. After a day and a night of rest, both my body and my mood are in the best condition. At dawn, after practicing Chong Chunguang, Luo Chen put on a dusty apron and walked to the kitchen window. A long-bearded clay man holding a wooden sword stood there, with phoenix eyes, drooping eyebrows, and some red on his cheeks. Second Master Guan, please blast me to succeed. Keep calm, boil the pot, add firewood, and use the fireball technique to start the fire. First boil the auxiliary materials, then stir-fry the mineral materials, add soup and boil, and add Polygonum multiflorum, jade yam, fire dog whip, etc. in turn. After boiling for about 3 hours, add the last water-based spiritual medicine, scallop, to harmonize yin and yang. Adjust the heat in the middle, sometimes high heat, sometimes low heat. After another 2 hours, boil the pot. A pot of light red paste shrank in the pot. When poked with a new wooden spoon, It shook like jelly. It was quite elastic. But it still failed. According to the recipe, the finished paste should be dark red, so that the Zongmiao pills can have the maximum aphrodisiac effect. Although it failed, Luo Chen did not feel too upset. Obviously, the finished product this time was very close to success. At least it solidified well and reached the elastic texture. For immortal cultivators, if someone is not afraid of drug poisoning, eating the whole pot will probably work. Of course, the sequelae will definitely be very serious. So Luo Chen does not plan to sell it, as it will be easy to get beaten. After tasting a little bit to determine the difference in drug power, and recalling the process again, Luo Chen nodded, and then poured all the drug residues across the stream. At night, he still practiced and slept. The next day, he worshipped Guan Eri on time and then made the elixir. Failed. On the third day, he worshipped Guan Eri on time and then made the elixir. Success. Yes, success. Luo Chen looked at the big pot of red jelly, and felt that the hard work had paid off. The corners of his eyes couldn't help but moisten. The failure of 8 sets of materials is equivalent to the loss of about 40 spiritual stones. If we deduct the 40 bottles of Bigu powder that should have been refined in these 8 days, it is equivalent to the loss of another 8 spiritual stones. Woo, I almost lost all my wealth. Luo Chen hurriedly took out all the ointments, regardless of the boiling heat, and cut the ointments into blocks with a bamboo knife, and then kneaded them into round balls with his hands. Let it dry overnight, and it will be considered a success. There is still 1 set of materials left, and it can be done again tomorrow. The next morning, Luo Chen couldn't wait to go to the cutting board for making elixirs in the kitchen. Sure enough, the 10 round balls were reduced to the size of longan. What was dried away was water vapor, and what was left was the essence. Any one of them would make a man take off. Putting the small red pill into the jade bottle with great care, Luo Chen bowed to Guan Eri again. Second master, you are thoughtful. Even though I have traveled through time, you are still blessing me. When I become rich in the future, I will definitely build a temple for you and make a golden statue for you. After worshipping, Luo Chen put on his apron and clenched his fists fiercely. Sure enough, I am a genius in alchemy. I was born to make alchemy. I will definitely be famous in the future. I have even thought of a nickname, the Eastern Wasteland Alchemy God, which is no less impressive than that Zongmiao Alchemy Saint. After encouraging himself, Luo Chen got busy again. In the smoky kitchen, the hot and pleasant atmosphere filled the room. However, when the bright sunshine came in, what came into view was the expressionless face. People make mistakes and horses stumble. When the alchemy saint was a child, he even had a furnace explode when he was refining a first-level elixir. I will definitely succeed next time, I will definitely succeed. Having said that, Luo Chen still felt pain in his heart. The cost of this raw material is 5 spirit stones. He lost a lot. No, this only bottle of Zongmiao must be sold at a high price, otherwise the cost will not be recovered. It was dawn. The sky and the earth seemed to be shrouded in a white mist, and the millions of mountains seemed like a huge mouth of the abyss, opening wide to the Daofang market. A young man wearing a washed-out low-grade robe ran through the muddy shanty town of scattered cultivators like a gust of wind. A female cultivator who went out to empty the urine pot in the morning saw this scene and couldn't help but laugh and curse. The little girl runs very fast. There is a dog chasing behind. Fast, really fast. Luo Chen seemed to have a certain fate with martial arts. He spent only a few days to advance from the entry level to the proficiency level of the Buk Xiao Yaoyu. Not only did it provide him with an achievement point, but it also doubled his speed bonus. In the past, the best he could do was 9 seconds for 100 meters. Now he can run more than 100 meters with a few leaps. It usually takes an hour and a half to walk into the city, but it will take at least 30 to 40 minutes to run. It only took him 20 minutes to reach the city gate today. Luo Chen had never experienced the effect of Yu Fengju, but he felt that Xiao was not bad, and this was only the proficiency level, and there were also proficiency, perfection, and grandmaster levels. There is a lot of potential to be tapped. When they arrived at the southwest casual cultivation area, it was still dark, and this time Taoist Chen Xiaoping was not as early as him. There was only a few people setting up stalls in such a large area. Luo Chen took a look and did not take out the pills to set them up first, but wandered to a stall. "Brother Wang, you are here quite early." Wang Yuan glanced at him and said nothing. Luo Chen smiled and was not embarrassed. He squatted on the ground and flipped through the books. Don't touch the book. 5 must-know spells in the key training period. It costs money. How much? 2 mid-level spirit stones. Why don't you go and rob it? This is what I robbed. Just ignore what I said. Wang Yuan, the 7th level of the key training period, is the kind of person who Luo Chen often talks about, who has been involved in many fights at the village entrance and robberies. Luo Chen can't afford to offend him, and Wang Yuan doesn't like him either. They only chat occasionally when they are setting up a stall. When Wang Yuan was down and out, he was forced to go to the Guiyang Mountains to hunt, and Luo Chen gave him a few bottles of Bigu pills on credit. So the two of them actually have some connection. Don't touch this either, it records a sinister evil spell. Hey, you are so cheap, be careful or I will rob you when you leave the inner city. Here, you can read this book at will. If you want to buy it, I will sell it to you at half price, 5 spirit stones. If there's a freeloader, what can you buy? No matter how rich you are, you can't go through so much trouble. Luo Chen excitedly picked up the 6 regions' customs records and read it with great interest. He read for an hour. When there were more people in the market, Luo Chen reluctantly put down the book. Brother Wang, I'm going over first. This bag of spicy beef jerky is for you. Eat it when you want to satisfy your craving. Wang Yuan glared at him, get lost. Looking at the bag of beef jerky, he swallowed slightly and then squeezed his buttocks. Back at the Bluestone stall, Taoist Chen had already started to fiddle with the talisman skin and talisman seal. Uncle Chen, do you know Yun Zhonghe? Chapter 9 Taoist Friend, are you interested in learning about the Zongmiao Pills? If you have something to say, call Uncle Chen. If you have nothing to say, call fellow Taoist Chen. Taoist Chen blew his beard, and then happily told his favorite gossip story. He has such a habit. He is usually stingy and likes to take advantage. He never suffers a loss when selling things. He even shares the stall fee with a rookie like Luo Chen, who is in the 3rd level of key refining. The only thing he likes to share for free is probably his experience of more than 60 years. Yun Zhonghe? You mean Master Yun? If you ask ordinary people, they probably don't know, but this old Taoist knows a thing or two. Among the 36 regions of the eastern wasteland, we are in the extreme east, close to the 100,000 mountains. Therefore, the 6 regions nearby are all bordered by the 100,000 mountains, and they have a nickname, the 6 regions of the Far East. Each of the large regions has countless sects. Only the large sects that have produced nascent soul true men can be named after the large region with the power of the sect. Then Master Yun is in the Hehun region, and the sect he belongs to is the Hehun sect, the strongest in the Hehun region. Luo Chen listened with great interest. This was the first time he learned about the world outside Dahofang. He asked casually, then our area should be called Yuding area. Yes, the strongest sect here is Yuding Sword sect, so we call it Yuding area. Chen Liodao replied, and then continued, Yuding Sword sect is famous for its fighting power, so it is closest to Beiwan Mountain. There are several large market towns under its jurisdiction as bridgeheads for attacking Beiwan Mountain, and Dahofang is one of them. As he spoke, he felt something was wrong. He blew his beard and glared, don't interrupt, you kid, we are talking about Master Yun. The Hehun sect is famous for its dual cultivation method, and its characteristic industries are spread all over the 6 regions. For example, our Shiangxiang Tower is one of their insignificant industries. Shiangxiang Tower is so big, earning top-grade spirit stones every day, and it is just an insignificant industry? Luo Chen couldn't help but become interested. Such a large enterprise with money and beautiful women should be his goal. Everyone in the world says that the Hehun sect is not upright, does not engage in production, does not rely on combat power, and only knows how to do the flesh trade, which really tarnishes the reputation of us cultivators. However, 300 years ago, such an anomaly appeared. Luo Chen clapped his hands, that's Yun Zhonghe, right. It's Master Yun. Jinden cultivators should be given the respectful title of Master. Taoist Chen scolded, and then continued, Master Yun practiced a core exercises of the Hehun sect and pushed it to the highest level. Not only is he outstanding in style, but also in combat power. When the Yuding domain was opened up, although the Yuding Sword sect took the lead, the other 5 domains also sent many masters, and Master Yun was one of them. At that time, he was still unknown, just an ordinary giant and early-stage cultivator. But in that battle, he managed to capture a 4th-level monster with a giant in early-stage realm. Do you know what a 4th level monster means? Luo Chen first widened his eyes, like the pupils of a cow. Then he took a breath of cool air, making a huge contribution to global warming. Then he swallowed his saliva and made a gulp. Finally, he exhaled a deep breath of foul air, which seemed to lower the realm of the cultivators. A 4th level demon beast, wouldn't it be comparable to the human Yuan Ying's Henrun? Taoist Chen was very satisfied with the audience's intense reaction, and stroked his beard complacently, as if he had done that. Yes, you do have some knowledge. A 4th level demon beast is also known as the Beast King, and its combat power is even above that of a nascent soul realm cultivator of the same level. Luo Chen asked doubtfully, isn't it said that cross-level challenges are extremely difficult? Senior Yun Zhuanghe was only in the early golden core stage at the time, so how could he have such brilliant results? The reasons are not something we, the younger generation, can know. Some say that he took advantage of the Demon Crane King's weak period of tribulation, and some say that it was the realm cultivator of the Hehuan sect who took action. But the result was that Master Yun became famous in one battle, and he made a name for himself with the Demon Crane King, and earned the name of Master Yun. At this point, Taoist Chen raised his hand and pointed to a red and pink embroidered building in the center of the inner city. The 6 regions in the Far East each have their own industries. Even the wealthy Yao Wang sect only has shops in 4 regions. Only the Hehuan sect has open industries in all 6 regions. Even in our most remote Daofang city, there is a Xiangxiang tower where people revel every night. This is more or less due to the contribution of Master Yun, the first person below the nascent soul. Master Yun, the first person below the nascent soul. What a good name, what a good story. Luo Chen couldn't help but cast a grateful look at Wang Yuan on the stall in the distance. The book's 6 regions customs record was indeed not bought for free. When he has money in the future, he will definitely buy it and study it carefully. Ahem, Luo boy, you've made me a little thirsty. Have a piece of beef jerky to quench my thirst. Luo Chen ignored him and put out all the pills. Fellow Taoist Chen, it's time to earn resources for cultivation. In time, you and I may be called masters. Chen Ziping's eyes widened, and his gray beard trembled with anger. Taking advantage of his height, Luo Chen patted Taoist Chen on the shoulder. I only hope that we can meet again in the future, and it will be sad to call you a Taoist friend. Get lost, I'm already 65, screw your dream of making a golden elixir. After angrily cursing, Chen Ziping took a deep breath. He was not angry, he was angry to the point of getting sick, and no one could replace him. His eyes habitually fell on Luo Chen's stall, and his eyes could not help but focus. 21 bottles? All of them are Bigu pills, or did you really refine a new pill? Luo Chen sighed and said with a lonely face, I am a junior with dull talent and have spent all my family wealth. I can only refine a bottle of new pill. I'm sorry to make you laugh, Taoist Chen. Gulp. Taoist Chen swallowed his saliva. You didn't really refine that incomplete 2nd level elixir recipe, did you? Alice, I'm incompetent and can't refine a 2nd level elixir. That's right, you kid. So I can only settle for the 2nd best and deduce it into a 1st level elixir. 1st level Jade pill. Boss Chen widened his eyes. This little old man has a rich expression, swallowing his saliva and widening his eyes. He can't take a breath of cold air next time. Luo Chen put his hands behind his back and said solemnly, that's not an incomplete Jade pill recipe. It's actually the secret recipe of Master Yun of the Hehuan sect. It was only because of a great battle when the Jading domain was opened up that year that it was left in this Daofang city. Taoist friend, don't talk nonsense in the future. Hiss. Luo Chen stretched out his hand to cover his face. He could feel that the climate in the Jading domain had warmed up. In fact, the temperature did warm up because the sun came out. When the sun came out, the passenger flow naturally increased. There are many cultivators who like to visit the area of scattered cultivators. After all, everyone wants to purchase high-quality and low-priced resources, or to find bargains. As always, Chen Liudeo's business is always the first to open. He has set up a stall here for many years. Although he is stingy, his reputation is excellent. Not only do others buy talismans, but some colleagues who find it troublesome even buy talisman skins from him and go back to draw talismans directly. Chen Liudeo's business is opening, which means that Luo Chen's business is about to open. Bigu pills. The color and fragrance are all okay, and there is also a good spiritual energy reserve. It's the top grade product. How much is it? The buyer picked up 5 bottles and threw a low-grade spirit stone to Luo Chen. 5 bottles of 50 Bigu pills. One can make you full for a meal, and saving one can make you full for 50 days. Of course, that is a relatively extreme situation. Under normal circumstances, it is enough to support a person without food for half a month. But this thing tastes just like that, and it is not good for the cultivation of cultivators. Unless they are really poor, or they are in seclusion, hunting and collecting herbs in the mountains, generally no one eats it as a meal. After buying the spirit stones, the fat cultivator was about to leave, but unexpectedly Luo Chen stopped him. Dao, are you interested in learning about the Zongmiao pills? Chapter 10. I asked. Today I want to fight 10. Zheng Wen, a 9th level key refining cultivator and an old resident of the inner city. He had a chance to build a foundation, but unfortunately, he had a fight with someone and damaged his foundation. He has no hope of building a foundation in this life. Although his foundation was damaged, he still had a fighting force. He was in his prime, so he had no shortage of money. Even if he had no spirit stones to spend, he could earn enough spirit stones by going into the Beiwan mountain once. As long as he didn't go into the inner area and just went around the outer area and killed 1 or 2 first-level monsters, he would earn enough spirit stones. As for what he would do with the money he earned, of course, he would eat and drink. Of course, he would enjoy delicious food, fine wine and beautiful women. Recently, he felt that he was short of money, so he planned to go into the mountains. So he bought a few talismans, a few bottles of elixirs, and 1 or 2 handy magic tools at a roadside stall. It must be said that although he could earn a lot from going into the mountains, he would also lose a lot each time. Those monsters were particularly rude, with thick skin and flesh, and they could easily damage his magic tools. She was nothing like the beauties in Xiangxiang Tower, who could polish his magic tools to a shiny finish every time. But today, he was lucky enough to buy a key-retaining talisman. He had never looked down upon the fasting pills sold by the guy next to Taoist Chen before, but this time, he felt that the quality was no worse than that of the Lingai Pavilion. Therefore, he bought 5 bottles and planned to try the effect. But when he was about to leave, he was stopped by the guy. Dao, are you interested in learning about the Zongmiao pills? Zongmiao pills, what are they? Luo Chen said in a very low voice, the Tao that can be spoken is not the real Tao, the name that can be named is not the real name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth, and the named is the mother of all things. The fat monk Zheng asked, a little confused, what does this mean? Are you playing a tongue twister with me? Luo Chen took a deep breath and said in a tone that said the Dharma should not be passed on lightly, so always be free of desire to see its wonders, and always have desire to see its boundaries. These 2 things come from the same source but have different names. They are both called mysterious. The more mysterious they are. They are the door to all wonders. After he finished speaking, he stared at Zheng Wen. Dao, do you understand what these words mean? Zheng Wen nodded hesitantly, then shook his head. I don't understand, but it seems very powerful. Luo Chen couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. As expected of a great cultivator of the 9th level of key refining, who is far beyond my realm. I noticed the power of it just by listening to it for the first time. Zheng Wen blinked. Really? That's right, this kid is only at the 3rd level of key refining. How could he understand those words that sounded very powerful at first glance? But what does this have to do with the Zongmiao pills you mentioned? Luo Chen pursed his lips and continued softly. Dao, do you know the story of Mr. Yun Zhonghe, the great leader of the Hehuan sect? Oh, you mean Master Yun, right? No, it's Yun Zhonghe. The name of the master cannot be spoken directly or insulted. You and I can just call him Yun Zhonghe. I see, go on. Then the story of how he practiced the core skills of the Hehuan sect and derived them to the highest level, so that he could suppress the 4th level Beast King with the early stage of the Golden Elixir. I believe you also know it clearly. Zheng Wen nodded. Who doesn't know this? Especially for an old ladybug like him who often goes in and out of Xiangxiang Tower. When chatting with the girls, there are always 3 or 2 times when he will experience the following conversation. Where are you from? From the outer sect of the Hehuan sect. I know where it is. There is a Master Yun in your sect, right? He is so awesome, and is known as the best person under the nascent soul stage. It's a pity that he is powerful, but the Hehuan sect is not a good place after all. The girl is in prison, why don't you get out of the sea of suffering as soon as possible? Such things, when the feelings are deep, they always can't help but hold their heads and cry, feeling that it is difficult to cultivate immortals. Luo Chen didn't know that this senior had such a rich inner drama, and continued his speech. With a golden elixir body, he overwhelmed the 4th level Beast King. His record is so brilliant. From this, it can be seen that he has realized such a shocking magical power from the core skills of the Hoon sect. Yes, Zheng Wen also wanted to see such a style, but it's a pity that I was born 200 years later. Zheng Wen shook his head and sighed, his tone bleak. Although you can't see Mr. Yun Zhonghe's style in the past, you can also sense it. Oh, what do you mean? The words I just said are extraordinary and inexplicably powerful. It is said that they are one of Mr. Yun Zhonghe's insights. Is it true or not? I don't know whether it is true or not, but I collected a fragmentary pill recipe from the market many years ago. It is said to be from Shyandao Peak. Zheng Wen widened his eyes and said with trembling lips, but where is the nest of the 4th level Demon Crane King back then? Maybe. It's a pity that the pill recipe is too incomplete. It disappeared after reading it once. In a hurry, I only wrote down a small part, and then developed a 1st level pill from it. Luo Chen was a little sad, and his face couldn't help revealing regret. Zheng Wen was a little excited. If it is true, even if it is just the tip of the iceberg, it is probably extraordinary. What is the effect of the Zongmiao Pill? Luo Chen lowered his head and looked a little shy. To be honest, the Zongmiao pills are not very useful. They only have a slight effect of strengthening the yang and nourishing the body. It can not only help with excitement, but also nourish the body. Is there such a panacea in the world? Recently, he has felt a little powerless in one battle after another. Zheng Wen felt that he had encountered the most precious elixir in his life. There was no hope of building a foundation. Perhaps the Zongmiao pills were the place where he would rely on for the rest of his life. Is it this? Zheng Wen pointed to the jade bottle at the back of the stall, which was different and quite exquisite. Luo Chen nodded. I am stupid. I have spent all my life learning to refine a bottle. If you want to feel the fur of Mr. Yun Zhonghe's Dao, I am willing to sell it to you at a low price. 8 low-grade spirit stones. No, we hit it off at first sight, so 5. Zheng Wen could not help but hesitate, picked up the jade bottle, and opened the soft stopper. A refreshing fragrance slowly floated out, and at first smell, my lower abdomen felt eager. When he smelled it again, he could smell the pure spiritual energy, which seemed to be like the sea waves crashing against the shore, facing the blazing sun in the sky. Looking carefully, with the eyesight of the 9th level of key refining, the deep red pill the size of a longan rolled around like aspic. The fusion of yin and yang, the harmony of water and fire, really has a hint of what Miss Yuxiang of Xiangxiang Tower said, that the core practice of the Hoon sect has reached the golden core stage, and the charm of the dragon and the tiger meeting. Okay, brother, and you ate it off at first sight. I'm leaving with this bottle. 5 spiritual stones, right? Take it. Luo Chen was flattered and stuffed the spiritual stones tightly into his arms. Senior, take care, I'll be here next month. If you need anything, please come to me. If there's anything wrong with the Zongmiao pills, please tell me directly, and I will do my best to improve it for you. With a pair of affectionate eyes, he watched Zheng Wen, the 9th level of key refining, gradually walk away until he could no longer see him. Luo Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The first order of new goods was finally sold. The first time is new, the second time is familiar, and the next order will certainly not be far away. He twisted his neck and felt his shoulders were a little stiff. He glanced at the site and saw that Taoist Chen Ziping was staring at him in amazement. His beard trembled, his lips trembled, and finally he gritted his teeth and shouted, I have never seen such a shameless person. Luo Chen arched his hands and took out another exquisite jade bottle from his arms and placed it among the remaining 15 bottles of Bigu pills. Taoist Chen hissed as if his teeth were leaking. Didn't you say that you only refined 1 bottle? It's 1 bottle. There are 10 pills in a bottle. I divided them into 10 bottles and sold them. This is called small profits but quick turnover. Hard. Fists hardened. Taoist Chen felt that he had met an opponent he rarely saw in his life. At noon that day, Zheng Wen performed the wind control technique, turned into green rainbow, and rushed straight into Xiangxiang Tower. A female cultivator in the foundation building stage came forward to block him, saying that the girls were all resting and would not welcome guests for the time being. Zheng Wen, with the power of the peak of the 9th level of key training, looked directly at the foundation building cultivator and shouted angrily, I am Zhang Wen, and I will beat 10 of them today. Chapter 11. Uncle, you watched me grow up. Not to mention that Zhang Wen, a great cultivator of the 9th level of key training, fought bloody battles, shaking the avenue and changing the situation. Luo Chen has really tasted the sweetness here. In the past, he only had one product, the Bigu pill, and when customers came, they could see it at a glance, and there was no room for choice. If you want it, you want it, and if you don't want it, you don't want it, and there is very little room for bargaining. He can't even do the most common sales model of bundling. Unlike Taoist Chen, who sells a key retaining talisman at a high price, when the customer hesitates, he can still say, "That's the price, at most I will give you another cleansing talisman." Luo Chen doesn't even have a bundling. Now, he finally has a second product that he can show off. That's not right. The low-level aphrodisiac pills like Zongmiao pills are not very good, and they have to be proud. But no matter what, the sale of the first bottle of Zongmiao pills gave him hope for the avenue. The price is a bit high, the cost is 1 lingxi, and it was sold for 5. But it can't be said that the food and medicine movement related to aphrodisiac is always enduring, both in ancient and modern times, at home and abroad. Even in this world of immortal cultivation that emphasizes personal power. In fact, it is just the opposite. Low-level cultivators, especially in the key training stage, are in the stage of refining essence into key. If they only rely on the outside world to transport the manic spiritual energy and then refine it, their cultivation progress will be very slow. That is why there are spiritual rice, monster meat, and even elixir markets that contain a lot of spiritual energy. In addition, the spiritual power is spread all over the body, and low-level cultivators often cannot hold themselves back. If they are slightly provoked, it is easy to leak the essence. Therefore, in order to ensure the highest efficiency of the transformation of spiritual energy, many exercises have corresponding secrets to lock essence. In the classics, there is a term called horse yin kang xiang. In this case, there are often only 2 ways to solve it. One is that the cultivator advances to the foundation building stage, and after the spiritual consciousness is born, he can use the spiritual consciousness to freely mobilize the spiritual power in his body for transformation, and then he will become stronger and stronger. Otherwise, in the early stage, if the essence is allowed to leak out, who can still climb the road? The second solution is that after determining that the road is hopeless, the key training cultivator will take the initiative to release the golden lock at the lower gate. With the spiritual power feeding back, it is easy to recover the vigor. This is why those cultivators in the world of immortal cultivation who have branched out and established families are often old cultivators who have no hope in the path of Taoism. They know their own level, and they can't go up, and they are stuck there for life. Why bother? Go home and have children and enjoy life. With the Zongmiao Pill specifically for cultivators in the key training period, the situation has reversed. The main ingredients of this medicine are water-type scallops and fire-type fire dog whips, which have the effect of water and fire complementing each other. After taking it, if you stimulate the spiritual energy in it a little, you can regain your vigor without moving the lower golden lock. Otherwise, why would Luo Chen try his best to refine this thing? It's not that he has this demand. It's that this market has a huge demand. Luo Chen is anxious about what everyone is anxious about and what everyone is thinking about. If you were on Earth, he would definitely be a little Song Jiang, nicknamed Timely Rain. When the second bottle of Zongmiao pills was sold again at a unit price of 5 spirit stones, the look in the eyes of Chen Liodao next to him changed. At one point, he held a key-gathering talisman worth at least 3 spiritual stones and compared it with the exquisite jade bottle. He muttered to himself, "It shouldn't be. My key-gathering talisman is made of 3-color earth dragon blood and tasteless field mice, and the cost is 2 spiritual stones. Could it be that the cost of the Zongmiao pill is higher than mine? Or is it that male cultivators value that ability more than being able to save lives at critical moments?" Luo Chen did not explain. Even if the key-gathering pill was sold out and only the lonely Zongmiao pill was left on the stall, he would squat there. Today, he was going to madly fleece the customers of Chen Liodao. Whenever a cultivator came to buy a talisman, he would pull him and whisper, "Dao, are you interested in learning about the Zongmiao pill?" Of course, not everyone is interested in this. Those who are determined and devoted to the Tao will refuse without hesitation. How can you focus on the pleasure of men and women? Such insects will never achieve anything in their lives. Those with strong self-esteem will even leave in anger. Do you think I'm someone who needs that kind of medicine? However, most of the cultivators showed obvious interest. Especially after Luo Chen used his old trick again and told the story of Mr. Yun Zhuanghe using this medicine to fight against a 4th level beast king. They were even more generous in their efforts to emulate the style of their predecessors. In this way, by the afternoon, Luo Chen's Zongmiao pills were finally sold out. He gave a bag of spicy beef jerky to Taoist Chen, and squatted aside, chewing the beef jerky and calculating today's income. First, there were 20 bottles of Bigu pills. The market was very stable and sold for a total of 4 spirit stones. Then there were the new Zongmiao pills. 10 bottles sold for 46 spirit stones. The reason why it was not 50 was that in order to open up sales, he slightly reduced the price of a few bottles. Since they were just put on the shelves, there must be some discounts. After calculating the accounts, Luo Chen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. His savings finally returned to the 50 mark again. He could completely refine the Zongmiao pills again. However, before his proficiency in making the Zongmiao one has changed, his delivery rate may not be able to be raised. This little income is not enough to support his regular practice with 5 spiritual roots. Therefore, if he wants to increase production, there is only one way to go. Expand production. But expanding production requires higher costs and more spiritual stones. Where do the spiritual stones come from? Fellow Taoist Luo, I'm sorry to ask, how much does your Zongmiao one cost? You know I'm being presumptuous. Luo Chen didn't even raise his head. Taoist Chen laughed awkwardly, but he was not angry even though he was thick-skinned. The main thing was Luo Chen's income today. Others didn't know, but he was sitting on the side and could see it clearly. 50 spiritual stones. This was what Luo Chen had to sell 250 bottles of Bigu pills to earn. He also knew that it was impolite to ask others about business secrets. Seeing that Luo Chen didn't say anything, he didn't plan to continue asking. But when he didn't ask, Luo Chen came up to him. Uncle Chen. He started calling him uncle again. I have been watching you since I was a child. No, you watched me grow up. You know exactly how many spiritual stones I have. You have more or less an idea of the cost of the Zongmiao one. Luo Chen said sincerely. His tone was extremely sincere. I can't tell you the specific cost. Just know it in your mind and don't go out and talk nonsense. But there is a trick to sell it at a high price. Chen Liudao hesitated, thinking back to Luo Chen's overall operation today. He was thoughtful. But some things still didn't make sense. This is the difference between a time traveler who has experienced modern information bombardment and an indigenous old man. Even after watching others operate in person, he still doesn't understand the reason. I can tell you this trick. But can you do Xiao Luo a favor? Help. Chen Liudao looked at Luo Chen in confusion. His left eye jumped involuntarily. Let me make it clear first. I can help you, but I can't borrow spiritual stones. Luo Chen pulled his sleeve and shook it continuously, with a look of admiration on his face. Uncle Chen, Xiao Luo has only one elder in this cold world of immortal cultivation. Fellow Taoist, please respect yourself. Uncle. It's not much, just 50, and they are low-grade spirit stones. Please lend it to me once. I will pay you back in half a month at most. Hiss, you are so bold. You know how much Xiao Luo has earned today. He is fully capable of repaying. You have to believe me. Luo Chen grabbed the thick and rough hand of Taoist Chen Zoping. Uncle, believe me. Besides, don't you want to know how to sell your talismans at a high price? Taoist Chen was a little moved. To be honest, every time I see the talismans that you have worked so hard to draw, being bought by others for a few spirit stones, my heart is broken. They look down on your talisman making skills. They just look down on me, Xiao Luo. Uncle, trust me, lend me spirit stones, and I will help you sell the talismans at a high price, so that you can become bigger and stronger and create brilliance from now on. Gulp. Taoist Chen swallowed his saliva, and looked at Taoist Xiao Luo affectionately with his wrinkled face. Really? 50 is not much, you won't suffer a loss, you won't be cheated. Hey, here you go. I'm a great cultivator of the 6th level of key refining, I don't think you dare to refuse to pay. Luo Chen quickly took a large handful of scattered spiritual stones, put them into his small bag, tightened the rope, and stuffed them into the deepest part of the lining. Taoist Chen turned his face away, unable to bear to see this scene. That was all his money. Okay, you can talk now. Fellow Taoist Chen, Do you know what brand value is? Chapter 12, Daofeng City has its own national conditions. In front of the bluestone slab, an old man was holding spicy beef jerky, with an unstoppable desire for knowledge in his eyes. The tall, handsome, and unrestrained man in front of him, with his hands behind his back in one hand, holding a long piece of beef jerky in the other, talked eloquently. Don't understand? I'll teach you. The so-called brand value is the additional value added to a product on top of its inherent value. Still don't understand? Seeing the old man's confused look, Luo Chen sighed and pointed the beef jerky in his hand at the scattered cultivator market. In this market alone, there are at least 3 families who sell low-level talismans for a long time. Yes, Lu Heng, Mao Wu Aya, and me are the ones who sell talismans for a long time. Taoist Chen said quickly when he saw that he could get a word in. Then what do you think of them? What do you think of yourself? Taoist Chen sneered. Lu Heng, you little brat, you don't have enough skills. You buy the talisman skins from me, they are not worth mentioning. What about Master Mao? He changed his profession late, his skills are comparable to mine, but he is 93 years old, just a dead body in a grave. What about you, Taoist Chen? Taoist Chen stroked his gray beard and said confidently, I entered the Divine Talisman Pavilion as a handyman at the age of 20, learned the art of making talisman skins in 5 years, and started to practice talismans in another 15 years. Since I put up the sign, I have been setting up a stall here for 25 years. I am young and strong, and my skills are superb. If you are a casual cultivator who comes to the market and wants to buy talismans, you must come to my place first to have a look. Clap, clap, clap. Luo Chen clapped his hands and showed a gratified smile. Fellow Taoist Chen, that's right. Your talismans already have basic brand value, which is the result of your experience as a handyman at the Divine Talisman Pavilion, your reputation as a vendor for 25 years, and the stable quality of your talismans. Taoist Chen was quite pleased with himself, but after thinking about it, he felt something was wrong. But I can't sell my talismans at a high price in the past few decades, can I? High prices are rare, but compared to others, are your prices generally higher? It seems so, but it's not as good as the Divine Talisman Pavilion. Customers who want to buy a large number of talismans still prefer to go to the Divine Talisman Pavilion. Luo Chen rolled his eyes. The Divine Talisman Pavilion is backed by the Divine Talisman sect, one of the 6 great sects in the Far East, and its brand value is given by the Golden Core Masters and Yuanying's Henrun. How can you compare with them? That's right. Taoist Chen had self-knowledge again at this time. So, the brand value of your stall can't be achieved? In this case, you need to find another way out. For example, give your individual products brand value. Be more specific. Give him the whole story. Chen Ziping was stunned. Zongmiao Yun Zhonghe? Master Yunhe of Hehuan sect. The young man is teachable. Hardened. Hardened. The fist hardened again. After the hardening, Chen Liodao fell into a state of sage with clear mind. You mean, I need to tell him a story from my talisman like you did? Yes. It's that simple. It's that simple. Then you talked so much before, all nonsense. Then I didn't say enough. Sorry for your 50 spirit stones loan. Huh? Inhale. Taking a deep breath, Chen Liodao decided not to get angry. He was already 65 years old and had to take care of himself. But how do you tell this story? Luo Chen looked at his stall. He knew all the types of talismans that Chen Liodao had. There are 6 types in total: the lowest level cleaning talisman and wind control talisman, the middle level fireball talisman, earth thort talisman, and earth wall talisman and key gathering talisman. The most popular ones are the fireball talisman and earth thort talisman, but the unit price is very low, 1.5 spirit stones per piece. The most expensive ones are the earth wall talisman and key gathering talisman. The former is 2 spirit stones per piece, and the latter starts at 3 spirit stones. When the market is tight, it can be sold for 5 or 6 spirit stones or even higher. Talismans are very popular among low-level cultivators. They are slightly less powerful than spells, but they are released quickly and consume very little spiritual power. Especially those related to defense and life-saving are very popular. Pointing at the key-gathering talisman, Luo Chen's mind turned. Combined with the 6 realms customs record he had read before, he thought of a story outline for him. But the specific details still need to be supplemented by Chen Liodao himself, who has more knowledge than Luo Chen. And Luo Chen gave him a suggestion. telling stories to new customers. Old customers still come from the old ones. However, the key collecting talisman also needs to be redecorated. It can no longer be so gray. Without affecting its use, 2 gold edges should be drawn on it. In this way, even if the old customers don't tell stories, they can try to raise the price. After giving instructions, Luo Chen couldn't bear it any longer. Like a gust of wind, he rushed into the market of scattered cultivators with a huge sum of money. Purchase. Purchase. Crazy purchase. The night was deep, and the moonlight sprinkled on the ground brightly. A young man was carrying 2 huge snakeskin bags and walking quickly on the road. The bags were made of real snakeskin, tough and able to stuff. Today's market was delayed for a long time because I had to sell the Zongmiao pills, and I had something to talk to Taoist Chen. After purchasing in the evening, it was time. Walking on the dried loess road, Luo Chen's breathing was a little heavy. Although his feet were fast, his eyes kept scanning, paying special attention to the shadows between the wooden houses. Fighting is strictly prohibited in Daofang City, but it is limited to the inner city area. They don't care about these scattered cultivators in the outer city area. The spiritual stones collected every month are only used by the bigwigs in the inner city when the monsters rush in. Therefore, strong men often appear in the outer city to rob people and steal treasures. It's okay during the day, but at night, these things happen one after another. I can only say that my Daofang City has its own national conditions. Luo Chen doesn't have a single spiritual stone on him now, and all his wealth is in the 2 snakeskin bags behind him. But to put it bluntly, it's only worth 100 spiritual stones. And it's scattered, and it's very troublesome to sell it. But it's one thing to think about it, and it's another thing whether someone is tempted by the money. Damn it, I must move to the inner city when I have spiritual stones in the future. Luo Chen cursed inwardly and walked on the dirt road with fear. Maybe it was the bright moonlight tonight, or maybe it was because he was wearing tattered clothes. Even the 2 snakeskin bags on his back were so ugly. Anyway, Luo Chen returned home safely. Sometimes, when a person is humble to a certain extent, even robbers look down on him. Luo Chen did not feel bitter. He took a short breath and put the various materials in the bag on the shelf in different categories. He spent 95 yuan on purchasing 19 sets of raw materials for Zongmiao Wan with 100 spiritual stones. He spent 3 of the remaining 5 spiritual stones on buying some materials for the Bigu pill. According to his success rate, he could refine at least 30 bottles of Bigu pill. If he sold them, he could earn 6 spiritual stones for 1 yuan for 5 bottles, and the net profit would be almost half, 3 yuan. He used one of the other 2 yuan to buy 10 kilograms of spiritual rice and 1 yuan to pay 2 months' rent at the city lord's mansion. Well, the monthly rent for his outermost house was half a spiritual stone, so he paid every 2 months. After pouring the spiritual rice into the rice jar, Luo Chen collapsed on the wooden bench in the living room, smelling the smell of medicinal materials all over the room, and grinned. Although he was very tired, he was in a good mood. Tomorrow, we can start to expand production. Chapter 13, Perfect Fireball. Mao time. White dew turns to frost, dusk is heavy. It is still dark outside, but in the hut by the stream, Luo Chen is already busy. He was such a character in his previous life. As long as there is a goal, he will persevere. 996 Work is very tiring. Even after get off work, he still has to have a meeting on Wedget, but he has never been late once. Compared with the painful getting up every day at that time, at least now he practices Chong Chun Gong once every morning and evening, which can bring him a very comfortable experience after work, and getting up is not so difficult. The only thing is that the time for practicing Gong cannot exceed 3 times at most, otherwise his head will hurt unbearably. In that state, even the basic work of handling medicinal materials is not possible. The workload to be done today is huge, but in fact there is not much. Handling the raw materials of Bigu pills and Zongmiao pills. He is already familiar with Bigu pills, especially the master level proficiency, which not only makes him handy in the refining process, but also makes the early medicinal material processing process more smooth. The processing of raw materials for Zongmiao pills is also faster than last time. Sometimes, Luo Chen would study his system when he had some free time. It was an ordinary attribute panel, with the only 2 functions being the increase in proficiency and achievement points, which could be used to enter the same realm of skills. Achievement points aside, he was becoming more and more familiar with the proficiency function. It was not limited to success, But failures would actually bring proficiency. And every time his proficiency broke through a realm, it seemed to bring him an additional feeling. He was sure that the conventional practice makes perfect was not enough to explain that feeling. It was more like after reaching this level of proficiency, the system had given him all the feelings belonging to this level. Therefore, in the same type of skills, he was relatively more comprehensive than people at the same level. This comprehensiveness was reflected in the fact that his Grandmaster level Bigu pills had a stable shipment rate and were of high quality. If the Grandmaster level proficiency was maxed out, I didn't know if there would be a follow-up, but I guess the quality of the Bigu pills at that time would be high enough to reach the best. The best Bigu pills, isn't it still Bigu pills? They were common goods, with high market saturation, many competitors, and slow customer consumption. The best products are useless. The Zongmiao one is better. It is a small exclusive product, the market is blue ocean, the medicinal effect is mild, and it is conceivable that there will be many repeat customers. The disadvantage is that the cost is too high, 5 spirit stones for a pot, and the failure rate is also high. Moreover, the so-called blue ocean market itself is not big. Most of the casual cultivators who still persist in Daohofang City are those who are determined to build a foundation. There are not many people who indulge in enjoyment. But for now, this is already the only fist product that Luo Chen can show off. Therefore, it is necessary to expand production, even if the current investment cost and recovery benefits cannot generate net profit. But Luo Chen must persist. As long as the success rate is increased, Luo Chen, will have a promising future. At noon, he still cooked beef rice. Because his proficiency in the Bigu pill has reached the master level, his loss has been reduced to the minimum. The frozen beef should have been consumed faster, but after refining the Zongmiao wan, the consumption speed has slowed down. Luo Chen feels that too much spiritual energy has leaked out of the yellow cattle monster meat. Therefore, recently when cooking, he simply cuts off an extra finger of meat. After finishing a delicious meal, Luo Chen burped. It smelled like milk. Whether it was the ingredients of the Bigu pill or the Zongmiao pill, they all had to go through the final process of time. Sitting by the stream, he prepared a fishing rod and went fishing. Luo Chen discovered that there were more fish and shrimps in the stream that originated from the Langkang River recently. He planned to catch a few to satisfy his hunger. While fishing, he opened the attribute panel. Name, Luo Chen, lifespan 27/75, spiritual roots, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, realm. 3rd level of key training. 76/100, skills, Chong Chun Gong mastery. 257/300, spells, cleaning skill entry 52 out of 100, entanglement skill proficiency 176 out of 200, fireball skill perfection 315/500, free and easy tour proficiency 102, 200, skills, 1st level alchemist, grandmaster of Bigu powder 510, 1000. Entry of all wonderful pills 13 out of 100, achievement points. 1 point, can be used for entry of corresponding realm skills, spells, and skills. This time, the panel display made him very happy. The realm that had not moved for a long time rose from 75 to 76, a full increase. Breaking through the 4th level of key training is just around the corner. There were no surprises in other projects. Whether it was Chong Chun Gong or Bigu powder and all wonderful pills, they all received positive feedback according to the existing progress. Only the fireball and free travel in the spell column caught his attention. Free travel jumped from the entry level to the proficient level, and the change it brought to him was that his speed was getting faster and faster. It was worth it that he ran wildly on the plain every day. However, he had never had time to experiment with a perfect level of fireball. Every day when he lit a fire to cook, he just felt more comfortable with it. Half an hour later, there was not a single fish in the dug pond. How can I be so addicted to enjoyment? It's time to practice the art of protecting the way. Luo Chen threw away the fishing rod, aimed at the deepest part of the stream, and shot a fireball. Boom! The calm stream suddenly exploded with a huge splash, and the boiling steam spread in all directions. The charred fish carcasses fell onto the pebbles at the bottom of the stream, and then slowly floated up with the stream water rolling from the upper reaches of the stream. Luo Chen looked at the results of this fireball with satisfaction. A fire burned the stream, and all the fish sank. It is indeed a perfect level fireball technique. Feeling the consumption of spiritual energy in his body, Luo Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows. Hey, before, a fireball technique would consume 10% of spiritual energy, but this time it only consumed less than 0.5%. So, can I cast 20 fireball techniques in one breath? Doubled. This is an absolute qualitative change. And the speed seems to have doubled? Before, he always followed the steps to light the fire and cook, and chanted the spells step by step, fearing that the stove would explode, and the spiritual energy injected was also very small. Just now, he didn't have this concern and threw a fireball casually. Only then did he realize that the speed of the two was also incomparable. Normal cultivators take 3 breaths, and when Luo Chen was at the mastery level, it was shortened to 2 breaths, and now the perfect level has broken through to 1 breath. 1 breath, releasing the fireball talisman is just like this. The activation of the talisman is also a process. Spiritual energy is injected, the spiritual energy inside is drawn, and it is aimed at the enemy. This process often requires experienced veterans to be able to activate it calmly and quickly. After all, it is an external object. Feelings are often prone to illusions. In order to avoid illusions, Luo Chen simply fired 3 more fireballs at the stream. That's right. 3 fireballs, plus the first one, only consumed 20%. The speed is also much faster than before, comparable to activating the fireball symbol. After getting the experimental results, Luo Chen couldn't help but smile happily. He practiced Chong Chun Gong every day, and the spiritual power absorbed and converted was very small. Every time he tried his best, he could only recover 1/5. This also led to him not being able to study spells in large quantities, for fear that his spiritual power would be empty and he would not be able to escape when encountering danger. But now that the consumption of fireballs has been reduced, it means that he can double his proficiency every day. Moreover, this is not what makes Luo Chen happy the most. It's as fast as a talisman in terms of activation speed. It can catch the enemy off guard when they are caught off guard. I finally have a fighting method that I can show off. Luo Chen has always lacked effective fighting methods, which means that he is as humble as dust and no one cares about him. But no one cares and having the ability to fight are 2 different things. Luo Chen's uneasy mentality calmed down a little, and he almost wanted to roar to the sky. But after thinking about it carefully, he decided to keep a low profile. Next time I break through the realm and become a mid-stage key training monk, I will roar to the sky again. I picked up a fish that was scalded by steam from the shore, so I can have an extra meal tomorrow. Well, I caught a fish today, and my fishing skill proficiency increases by 1. Chapter 14. Remember to pay back the money. Daofang Market is located at the edge of Yuding Domain, adjacent to the East Wilderness Million Mountains. According to statistics from a foundation-building cultivator who wrote a travelogue a few years ago, because it is located on a first-level spiritual vein, there are tens of thousands of cultivators here all year round. It is mainly composed of independent cultivators. People from large sects do not stay here for a long time, and they only stay here to take care of business. Moreover, it is cyclical. The managers of those shops in the inner city will be replaced every few years. Therefore, the entire market is still dominated by spontaneous activities of independent cultivators. It is like the independent cultivator market, which is divided into big markets and small markets. The big market is held once a month, and the small market is held every 1, 4, and 7 days. Of course, when there is no market, there are also cultivators setting up stalls, but the flow of people is not that large. 10 days have passed since the last small market. A fat figure rushed into the market early in the morning. Zhang Wen was lucky. This time, he hunted a first-level monster beast after staying in the mountains for a few days and obtained more than 1,000 kilograms of monster beast meat. His storage bag was not big, only 1 square meter, which could barely hold everything. So when the harvest was almost done, he retreated from the mountain. 10 kilograms of first-level monster meat could be sold for a low-grade spiritual stone, and the monster's bones were also a kind of spiritual material. So, this time's harvest was still okay, enough for him to enjoy himself for a while. After returning home yesterday, he found a familiar butcher and processed a meat. Then he couldn't wait to run to Xiangxianglao to enjoy himself. The process was a bit difficult to describe. The beauty was excellent, and his performance was as stable and efficient as always. But compared with the prestige of beating 10 people last time, it pales in comparison. Therefore, he broke free from the heroes too early in the morning with great willpower, just to do some business with the little brother who hit it off last time. When he arrived at the South City Market, there were already some people setting up stalls, and Chen Liudao, who was selling talismans, was sitting on a small stool with a calm demeanor. Didn't Taoist Xiao Luo come? No, he's refining pills at home. Will he come to set up a stall today? If he hasn't come after this time, then he won't come to the market today. His disappointment was beyond words. Zhang Wen was quite disappointed, and he chatted with Taoist Chen about his experiences in the mountains. When he saw a customer coming, he was about to say goodbye. But before leaving, he saw Taoist Chen carefully holding back the dissatisfied customer. Dao, are you interested in learning about the Shenine Key Restraining Talisman? What is that? Is it for retrieving breath? You know Master Lingain of the Shenfu sect, right? Let me tell you. Zhang Wen's expression was a little strange. He always felt that those words were familiar. After walking far away from the market, he suddenly realized, wasn't that just a replica of what Taoist Xiao Luo said at the beginning? Damn, the old man has learned bad things. He didn't think Luo Chen had deceived him, because when Luo Chen was selling him the Zongmiao pills, he never said anything affirmative, but used ambiguous words. Moreover, the efficacy of the Zongmiao pills was exactly the same as Luo Chen's description. He could only think that Chen Liudao had plagiarized Luo Chen's words. As a victim, Luo Chen was now huddled at home, wearing an apron and worshipping Guangguang. The previous few pots failed, and the patting was almost done. It should be shipped today. Second Master Guan, I'm burning incense for you today, please bless me. He kept muttering to himself, and kept putting the medicinal materials in his hand into the pot. The processed fire dog whip gave off a natural stench, and under the fusion of the fragrance of the spiritual medicine materials, it exuded an indescribable strange smell. The process of boiling the medicine lasted from morning to afternoon. After opening the lid of the pot, looking at the deep red ointment and smelling the refreshing fragrance, Luo Chen clenched his fist fiercely. Okay, the sixth pot was successful this time, which is a huge improvement. Second Master Guan, I knew you had me in your heart, even if you traveled through time, you are still blessing me. Keep up the good work tomorrow. Half a month later, Luo Chen looked at the 50 small jade bottles on the table with satisfaction. This was the result of spending nearly a month. 30 bottles contained the Bigu pills, which he hurriedly made in the past 2 days. The remaining 20 bottles were all the wonderful pills. But unlike the Bigu pills, which contained 10 pills in a bottle, the wonderful pills contained 1 pill in a bottle. In other words, the refining of the wonderful pills was only successful twice this time. 19 portions of materials were made into 2 pots. This success rate is really not high, and in terms of the quality of the pills, it is only of low quality. Low-quality pills have strong limitations, and the medicinal properties are average. If you eat too much, there will be strong side effects. But that is not what he is worried about. He believes that fellow Taoists have strong self-control. Just enjoy yourself and don't be greedy. This is the only way I can do it now, but as long as I improve my proficiency, the situation will definitely improve. The future is bright, Chen, keep going. After packing all the jade bottles in a bag, Luo Chen closed the door and rushed into the inner city of Dahofeng like the wind. Today is the day of the big market, and this batch of goods must be sold well. When he arrived at the market, the population was still sparse, and Luo Chen came too early. Taoist Chen hadn't come yet, but his old acquaintance Wang Yuan had already sat cross-legged on the floor. Young man, you don't take care of your body at all, the ground is so cold. Muttering to himself, Luo Chen greeted Wang Yuan and squatted down in front of his stall naturally. Hey, there are more things. Compared with the last time, there were several more old books and even a broken jade slip. There were also 4 or 5 more magic tools, and some of them were stained with black blood. Brother Wang, you have done some big business recently. Wang Yuan drooped his eyelids. Look, but don't touch it. Luo Chen looked at a few old books with envy. 5 must-know magical spells in the key training period, miscellaneous talks on herbs, eternal spring key training chapter. They were all what he wanted, but unfortunately there were no spirit stones. If Wang Yuan sold all these things, plus those magic tools, he didn't know how much he would make. As far as he knew, a low-grade magic tool would cost at least 100 low-grade spirit stones, and the middle-grade and high-grade ones were even more ridiculously expensive. Killing people and seizing treasures is indeed the fastest way to make money in the world of immortal cultivation. Unfortunately, he is not good at this kind of thing at all. He is just a dutiful little cultivator who likes to make pills. Sighing, Luo Chen picked up the 6 regions customs record that had not been sold yet and read it with relish. In the 6 regions of the Far East, there are 6 major sects that have produced Yuanying Zhenren, such as Yuding Sword Sect, Helhuan Sect, Shenfu Sect, and Yao Wang Sect. But in addition to these sects, there are many small sects and immortal cultivation families in each large domain. The vast area and abundant resources have given birth to countless amazing people. Often in each period of time, there will be strong people rising. In the process of their rise, there are naturally many strange stories. The author of this 6 domains customs record is a cultivator of the 9th level of key refining. Because he has no hope of building a foundation, he spent the rest of his life writing this book. Limited by his realm and knowledge, many things above are hearsay. But it doesn't prevent Luo Chen from glimpsing the tip of the iceberg of the immortal cultivation world with the help of this book. Just those edges and corners make him feel yearning. Master Yuding shook the mountains and rivers with one sword and established the domain. Such a style is really magnificent. After sighing, Luo Chen reluctantly put down the book and set up a stall. Take it and read it if you like. This travelogue has too many errors and it has not been sold for several months. Wang Yuan said lightly, and raised his finger, and the book floated into Luo Chen's hands. Luo Chen was surprised, and then he was overjoyed. Thank you, Brother Wang. I will return it to you after I finish reading it. Taking the book back to the bluestone stall, Taoist Chen couldn't wait to come over. Seeing the old face, Luo Chen smiled slightly. Do you want to tell me how good the business is recently? No, I want to tell you, remember to pay me back. Oh. Luo Chen was hit hard. He thought there were many good people in the world of cultivation just now. But after he put out the elixir, Taoist Chen still told him a good news. Recently, many Taoist friends have come to you to ask about the Zongmiao Pill. You are going to be rich. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Killing People and Stealing Treasures. Is it finally my turn? Repeat customers have always been the customers that Luo Chen values very much. He has also been trying his best to cultivate his own repeat customers, instead of relying on Chen Liodao for customers every time. However, even if he had refined a medium-quality product like the Bigu pill before, he could not have many repeat customers, and he was also limited by production. The Zongmiao Pill gave him a chance. After chatting for a few words, Luo Chen laid out all the pills. Chen Liodao took another look this time, and the number was clear at a glance. He thought to himself that Luo Chen's alchemy skills must have indeed made a breakthrough. In these few stalls, the amount taken out is increasing. Of course, there must be the credit of his spirit stone loan in it. As the sun rose, more and more monks came to the market, and Luo Chen and Chen Liodao also opened their stalls one by one. Dao Iao Luo, what a coincidence. Yes, what a coincidence. Luo Chen greeted Zheng Wen enthusiastically, pointing to the bottles and jars in front of him. On the hour. On the hour. Zheng Wen picked up 5 bottles of Bigu pills, played with them and said, your skills are really good. Last time I tried Bigu pills, they were actually of the top grade, much better than others. Just enough to keep you full, thank you for your compliments. By the way, 2 bottles of Zongmiao pills. Yes. Luo Chen tacitly put the 2 bottles of Zongmiao pills on the stall into Zheng Wen's hands. The two smiled at each other, and everything was said without words. The cultivator who was selecting talismans next to him seemed to be acquainted with Zheng Wen. Brother Zheng, the spotted tiger that Butcher Lee slaughtered yesterday was your trophy, right? You really got a lot this time in the mountains. Oh, the demon tiger is a plague on the world. I am just doing justice for the heaven, not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. You are too modest. What are you buying? Zheng Wen quietly put the Zongmiao pills into the storage bag and took the bottle of Bigu Dan. Buy some Bigu Dan and store them. It will be more convenient for me to go into the mountains next time. Brother Duan, let's stop talking. I have something urgent to do. I'm leaving first. Zheng Wen left in a hurry. The cultivator he called Brother Duan was a little confused. Then he saw Luo Chen took out 2 exquisite jade bottles from the bag below and placed them on top. Zheng Wen seemed to have bought this thing just now. What kind of pill is this? Luo Chen's eyes lit up. Zongmiao pills. Are you interested in learning more about it? Guests came and went, but the content of their conversations was the same. They asked for a high price and paid it back at a low price. I praised how good my products were, and he found faults. Then we agreed on a price that both of us could accept, and the deal was done. Unlike those arrogant and self-centered cultivators who would set up stalls and meditate, the Kingshi stall was much more lively, and both the old and the young were thick-skinned and eloquent. Occasionally, when Luo Chen was free, he would help Taoist Chen brag a few words and sell a few talismans. Perhaps because it was a big market today, Luo Chen's own medicine business was doing well. In one morning, he had basically sold out. All 30 bottles of Bigu pills were sold, earning 6 low-grade spirit stones. All 20 bottles of Zongmiao pills were sold, earning 100 low-grade spirit stones. The difference between the two was huge. But in terms of profit, the current profit of Zongmiao pills was zero, just barely breaking even. On the contrary, after deducting the cost, the Bigu pills had a net profit of 3 spirit stones. In fact, with the proficiency of the Bigu pill grandmaster, Luo Chen might be able to make more money by increasing the production of Bigu pills. But the market for the Bigu pill is there, and the consumption capacity is there, so the extra profit is only a few spirit stones. Take this opportunity to improve the proficiency of the Zongmiao Pill, and you can start to make large-scale profits later. Industrial transformation, opening up new channels. Short-term pain, acceptable. Chen Liodao kept urging him to pay back the money, and Luo Chen had no choice but to pay him back 50 on the spot. Then, after paying it back, he begged and begged for a long time and borrowed it back. Don't worry, I will definitely pay it back. You have seen the recent profits. You should consider it as supporting the poor monks to practice. When I become rich, I will repay you with a spring of water. How about this? My pills are sold out, I will work for you in the afternoon and help you sell talismans. Trust me, I will help you sell them out early, and you can go back and draw 2 more talismans, and you can earn back the extra money. After a lot of persuasion, Luo Chen finally kept the 106 spirit stones in his pocket. The price was to work as a temporary worker for an afternoon. Hey, did something happen to Brother Wang? Luo Chen, who was selling talismans, looked up and found that Wang Yuan's stall not far away was surrounded by people. He wanted to go and watch the fun, but was stopped by Chen Liodao. Don't go. What's the matter? Have you forgotten what happened last time this happened? Luo Chen stopped and recalled a scene 2 years ago in the original owner memory. That time and that moment were so similar to this moment. The enemy came. Chen Liodao looked at that side with a complicated expression. Although most of the scattered cultivators are alone, there are still some people who have relatives and friends. It's okay if they die, but the magic tools and Taoist robes are still being sold. If I really encounter them, I will always feel unfair in my heart. Luo Chen suddenly realized and found that the crowd there was really tense. There was a sign that they would go to war directly if they disagreed. Wang Yuan was at the 7th level of the key refining stage. Those who dared to surround him were probably not much lower in realm. If they really fought, it would be easy to get hurt by mistake if he went over to watch the show. There won't be a fight. Don't worry. Fighting is strictly prohibited in the inner city. Chen Liodao shook his head. He had seen too many such things. It can only be said that people like Wang Yuan, who live on the edge of a knife, will always encounter ghosts if they walk too much at night. As expected. After a few harsh words, the 3 cultivators left the San Xiu market indignantly. Wang Yuan still had that lukewarm expression. He sat cross-legged in front of the stall with drooping eyelids, as if he hadn't woken up yet. Selling this kind of blood-stained magic weapon is very risky. Luo Chen muttered, why not sell it directly to Wanbao Tower? Chen Liodao sneered, Wanbao Tower will directly buy it back at half price, slightly remelt it for repair, and then sell it at a higher price than the original price. How can you make more money by setting up a stall to sell it yourself? So that's it. Luo Chen understood that the magic weapons in the San Xiu market were of varying quality, and it all depended on the cultivator's own eyesight. Moreover, if they were not remelted, they would be too conspicuous and easily recognized by the original owner's friends. The only advantage is that it is much cheaper than the official one. I only have a low-grade magic sword with rust on it now. When I have money in the future, should I go to the market or buy at Wanbao Lao? Luo Chen stroked his chin, thinking about whether to buy a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz, just like in his previous life. Fantasy is temporary. Working is an afternoon. After helping Taoist Chen deal with the talismans, he hurried to buy the raw materials he wanted. He had negotiated with a seller for several large purchases in a row and tried to keep the things for him. So, although the time was short, he still spent more than 100 spirit stones. That's really not a penny left. All in is a kind of wisdom. Luo Chen never lacks the courage to all in, especially in the early stages. If he loses everything, he will just start over. When he went home with a big bag of snakeskin bags, the sky darkened again. Luo Chen strode on the dirt road in the outer city, humming from time to time. I can't go with the flow, for the sake of my beloved Changshen. Suddenly, Luo Chen stopped. Under the moonlight, 4 people stood in front of him. It was a dark and windy night, killing people and seizing treasures, and it was finally my turn? Luo Chen's heart sank to the bottom of the Langkang River. Chapter 16. You deserve to die. You really deserve to die. The Daijiang gang is doing business. Outsiders, get out of the way. A loud shout exploded in the night sky. Luo Chen was stunned, and then he was overjoyed. Yes, yes, yes. I am the outsider. Carrying the snakeskin bag, he couldn't wait to walk towards the dark alley next to him. He ran backwards. His eyes were always focused on the 4 people, fearing that the opposite side would attack him at will. After watching, he realized that the 4 people on the opposite side were not together. It was clearly 3 monks, who surrounded the man who was closer to him in the middle. Due to the night and the fact that he was facing away, Luo Chen didn't know what expression the other party had on his face. But when the other party spoke, he could probably guess what the other party's face was. It was just because he was very familiar with the person who was surrounded. Wang Yuan. Li Zixian, you know what I do, are you sure you want to stop me? Stop you? Kill you. You, Wang Yuan, are just a scum who handles dirty things for the Pashan gang. You don't think anyone is really afraid of you, do you? Kill me? Just you and these 2 bastards at the 5th level of key refining. Enough, do it. With a loud shout, the fight broke out instantly. And a certain idler had already retreated to the dark alley. Luo Chen's heart was thumping, and his face was a little flushed. If you didn't know, you would think he was fighting. In fact, it was a rare sight to see a so-called cultivator fight, and he was a little too nervous. He knew the Daijiang gang and the Pashan gang. Day market was opened by the Yuding Sword sect, and the main managers were also the strong men of the Yuding Sword sect. In addition to the industries of the Yuding Sword sect, the various businesses in the market are composed of the other 5 major sects in the 6 regions of the Far East. But a large market with tens of thousands of independent cultivators must be extremely complex. Especially the nearby East Wilderness Million Mountains, the resources are so rich that it makes the world jealous. Just picking up some corners is enough to make the casual cultivators live a very comfortable life. Therefore, after years of operation, Daofang has 3 other forces that cannot be underestimated. Let's not talk about the external Iron Merchant Alliance. The Pashan gang, which relies on the mountain to make a living, and most of the casual cultivators who go into the mountains to hunt will join the Pashan gang. They keep warm together, form a team to kill monsters, and kill and rob scattered casual cultivators. And the Daijiang gang, which lives on the Langkang River, the benefits brought by the river are not inferior to the Pashan gang in some aspects. It seems that the 2 do not interfere with each other. But where there are people, there are fights. Various frictions and fights are not uncommon. This time, Luo Chen saw it with his own eyes. Of course, through the conflict during the day and the conversation between Wang Yuan and others just now, Luo Chen probably understood some of the truth. Although this battle was caused by the long-standing discord between the 2 major gangs, it was more related to the magic weapons sold by Wang Yuan. As expected, the original owners of those blood-stained magic weapons were members of the Daijiang gang, most likely relatives or friends of Li Zixian. Shrinking in the alley, Luo Chen held his breath and concentrated. He wanted to watch the battle outside, but after a little thought, he decisively walked towards another path home. That kind of battle was not something he could participate in. It is easy to lose your life if you just sit there and watch the show. I just feel a little sorry for Brother Wang's kindness in lending me a book during the day. Luo Chen is not an ungrateful person, but with the strength of the 3rd level of key refining, if he really uses his life to help, he may only do more harm than good. So, it's better to slip away first. A few minutes later, Luo Chen got into another alley. If I remember correctly, after passing this alley, There is a small forest outside. If you pass through the forest, you will be very close to home." Just when he was about to hurry up, the sound of whistling wind came from behind him. Luo Chen turned his head suddenly, and saw the figure of the person coming in the moonlight. Then he quickly hid in the corner of the alley and hid his body. It was one of the two fifth-level key refining cultivators. He seemed to be chasing something. He flew about 2 or 3 meters above the ground and looked around. The night wind blowing in from outside the alley carried a slight smell of blood. This man is injured. He is breathing heavily, and he is seriously injured. Looking at the way he is searching, I'm afraid that Brother Wang has escaped from the siege. As expected of a man who lives on the edge of a knife every day, he can seriously injure the enemy in a 1-on-3 situation and run away calmly. Thinking a lot in his mind, Luo Chen just hoped that the other party would leave quickly. However, some things are often not what people want. "You bastard, I told you to get out of here, but you bumped into me." Before he finished speaking, whoosh! Under the moonlight, a black shadow flew over like lightning. "If you can't kill Wang Yuan, you will help me get rid of this bad breath." The black shadow was so fast and urgent that Luo Chen had no time to react. He hastily activated the protective shield of the tattered robe, and barely managed to take out the lower-grade magic sword in his hand. Clang! Swish! The sword broke, the light shield shattered, and the black shadow instantly entered his body. Chen Zhao withdrew the wind control technique, fell to the ground, and stumbled. There was a big wound on his shoulder, and the injury was so serious that even the bloody smell could not be covered. When he flew here, he knew that he was not suitable to continue chasing Wang Yuan. There happened to be a third-level key refining cultivator hiding next to him. With his serious injury, he might endanger his own safety. Therefore, Chen Zhao, who had always been vicious, suddenly attacked without giving the other party any reaction time. And the result was as he expected. Even Wang Yuan couldn't defend against my soul-breaking nail. It's worth it for you, a mere third-level key refining cultivator, to die in its hands. Puff. After saying this, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood foam. It's not suitable to stay here for long. Search for the spoils first, and then leave quickly. Just as this plan flashed through his mind, a flame came into view. Not dead. Bang! He reacted very quickly and activated the protective shield on his robe in an instant. However, when the flames exploded, another huge fireball hit him. It was not just one fireball. Almost at the same time as the fireball exploded, the continuous fireballs behind it almost made him despair. How is it possible? Bang! 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 It was too fast, leaving no room for breathing. Almost without any pause, 20 fireballs were thrown out like a string of cannonballs. Chen Zhao was at the 5th level of key training, and the robe he was wearing was only a first-level medium-quality one. The defensive performance was not bad, but it had been cut by Wang Yuan when he broke through before. Now, in a hurry, he was hit by 20 fireballs in a row, and he couldn't even hold on to the third one, and he collapsed directly. Later, the fireballs were no longer hitting a person, but a charcoal. Luo Chen leaned against the wall, his face was pale, and his whole body was trembling. People have no intention of hurting tigers, but tigers have the intention of hurting people. He didn't want any conflict, but the other party wanted his life. If the other party hadn't been running out of magic power and in a very bad state, if he hadn't always been cautious and used the magic sword and magic robe to resist the initial attack of the black shadow in the fastest time, he would be dead now. You deserve to die, you really deserve to die. Luo Chen gritted his teeth and stood up forcibly. In his abdomen, there was suddenly a hole as thick and deep as a finger. He could feel that there was something like a nail in his body, which made him feel so painful. Enduring the pain, Luo Chen walked to the pile of charcoal. The other party was burned through, and his middle-grade magic robe was tattered to the extreme, no longer shining like the daytime. Using the broken sword in his hand to fiddle with it, Luo Chen's eyes lit up. At least there is still some legacy. A dark storage bag was hidden under the tattered magic robe. Just after picking up the storage bag, Luo Chen had no time to be happy, and there was a crackling sound of breaking air from the roof. Looking up, under the moonlight, a burly Tibetan man holding a bin knife and carrying 2 heads swooped down like an eagle. Chapter 17, Windfall. You killed him. Before Luo Chen could answer, Wang Yuan nodded. It seems so. As Luo Chen retreated nervously, he walked to the charcoal and swung his sword. The head that was burned beyond recognition was cut off casually. Wang Yuan glanced at the nervous Luo Chen and the storage bag in his hand. His eyes were somewhat complicated. The night wind was slightly cool, and the blood-stained body was even colder. Luo Chen showed an ugly smile. "Brother Wang, I haven't finished reading that book yet." As if remembering something, Wang Yuan's complicated eyes gradually converged, and his eyelids drooped again. "Go home early, Dao Fang is very dangerous at night." "Yes." Luo Chen turned around and left, but after hesitating for a moment, he still walked over and put the snakeskin bag full of herbs on his back with difficulty. That was all his belongings. Looking at Luo Chen's back as he was about to walk out of the alley, Wang Yuan sighed inexplicably. "This is for you, as a reward for this head." A black nail as long as a chopstick fell at Luo Chen's feet. There was bright red blood on the black nail, and even some meat. "Brother Wang, you're welcome. Go away, go to the grove, don't take the main road." "Yes." With a heavy nod, Luo Chen went into the grove without looking back. In the alley, Wang Yuan stood there for a while with 3 heads in his hands, and then gradually disappeared into the darkness. "Woo woo. Ling. Huh?" Luo Chen half leaned against the foot of the bed like a dead fish, sweating all over, even his pants were soaked. On the ground in front of his bed was another soul-breaking nail that had been driven into his waist. Enduring the severe pain, Luo Chen grabbed the bottles and jars beside him and poured them into the wound. This was his homemade healing medicine, which was specially used to deal with the danger of explosions in the process of alchemy. It helped a lot in the past. Today, it has a greater place to use. As the powder entered his body, he felt a cool sensation, followed by a burning pain. Crap! 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 A low roar of curses sounded from time to time. Luo Chen had never been as angry as he was now. He was not angry at the damage caused by his enemies, but at his own weakness. If he were as strong as Wang Yuan, he would not have fallen to this point today. Luo Chen finally breathed a sigh of relief until the wound was tied up with a cloth tape. Enduring the pain, he went to the living room, opened the snakeskin bag, and placed the various herbs inside on the shelves in different categories. These low-level herbs and spiritual materials cannot be mixed together for a long time, otherwise the effect will be greatly reduced. His staggering steps looked pitiful under the oil lamp as big as a bean. Luo Chen even felt that this scene was very similar to the scene in his previous life when he went to work while sick after surgery. "No matter where I go, I can't escape a hard life. No wonder I only lived to be 75 years old in my previous life." After finishing all this, he finally had time to lie down on the bed. The pain in his waist made him unable to sleep even though he was exhausted. He had no choice but to find something else to distract himself. "Let's see what good stuff that guy who died earlier than me has." The storage bags of key refining cultivators are not protected because they have no spiritual consciousness and naturally cannot set up restrictions. After the owner died, the magic power mark on it also naturally dissipated. Luo Chen mobilized the remaining spiritual power and opened the storage bag. A lot of things instantly filled his wooden bed. Today is the day of the big market, and this guy bought a lot of things. A low-grade robe, a box of calming incense, 5 bottles of fasting pills, a bottle of nourishing key pills, a bottle of jinka powder, and a stack of talismans. In addition, there was a bunch of dried spiritual grass, which occupied most of the area of his bed. In addition to these things, there were the spiritual stones that Luo Chen was most concerned about. 92 low-grade spirit stones, damn, a poor ghost. Luo Chen cursed, and then happily packed the things back one by one. The spirit stones were indeed few, not enough for the 5th level of key refining. But the value of other things far exceeded these 92 low-grade spirit stones. Not to mention the low-grade robe, although it was a bit worn out, it should have been worn by the short-lived ghost before, but if it was sold, it would be worth at least hundreds of spirit stones. The activation speed of this thing was even higher than that of the talisman. That's why Luo Chen was able to activate it quickly before. When the short-lived ghost was hit in the face by the fireball, he also activated a defensive light shield that came with the robe at the first time. If it was a complete middle-grade robe, it could withstand 6 or 7 fireballs, but it was a pity that it had been destroyed by Wang Yuan before. It couldn't even withstand the third one. 3 breaths of time. For the seriously injured Chen Xiao, there was no time to use other means. 5 bottles of Bigu pills were not worth much, and the quality was not as good as Luo Chen's own, but it was also worth 1 spirit stone. As for the others, they were very valuable. The tranquilizing incense is one of the best external objects for low-level cultivators to assist in their cultivation. One tranquilizing incense a day is enough for a cultivator to practice his life-defining skills 5 more times. It is said that it can restore the fragile soul of a low-level cultivator. A box contains 12 incense in total, which is worth 120 spirit stones. Not to mention the nourishing key pills. The pattern logo on them indicates that they are from the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion. The price is fixed, 100 spirit stones per bottle. Good stuff. After swallowing and refining, it can increase spiritual power. As for the stack of talismans, according to Luo Chen's experience, it should be worth 50 or 60 spirit stones. He didn't recognize the dried spiritual herbs that filled the bed, but the fact that he bought so many of them in the storage bag meant that they must be useful. With this calculation, the total value is also 400 spirit stones. Windfall. As expected, a horse cannot grow fat without night grass, and a man cannot become rich without windfall. In just a short period of time tonight, Luo Chen's wealth has quadrupled. And his biggest gain is not these things. It is this storage bag itself. The volume is not large, only 1 square meter, and it is the smallest and cheapest storage bag. But in Wanbao Tower, it must be worth 10,000. I don't know whether the short-lived ghost was given by others or robbed. Anyway, he definitely can't afford it. Or most low-level cultivators can't afford even the smallest storage bag. This kind of thing is the standard for inner disciples of large sects, and outer disciples are not worthy of it. It's rich, it's rich. No wonder killing people for treasures is the most classic plot in online literature. No matter what the subject matter is, it has a place. It's just that the risk is too great. If you are not careful, you will fail and your lifelong efforts will be buried in it. Tonight, there were 2 murders and treasures in front of Luo Chen. Li Zixian from the Daijiang gang gathered 3 people to surround and kill Wang Yuan, but the result was a failure. The short-lived ghost at the 5th level of key refining intended to kill Luo Chen instantly, but the result was a failure. Such a dangerous thing should be left to those professionals. I can't stand being frightened. Luo Chen thought about it and picked up the last jade bottle that was not put into the storage bag. Jinki powder is one of the signature pills of the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion. It has excellent healing effects for any damage caused by gold-attributed magic weapons, and the price is only 10 spirit stones. It is inexpensive and has always been loved by the casual cultivators of Dahofang. I smelled it and it smelled fine. It was not a poison. And not many people would put poison in the healing pill bottle in their storage bag. If you are seriously injured and confused, and take the wrong medicine, it will be a lot of fun. It's just that you have to work hard to untie the tied cloth belt again. Sighing, Luo Chen had to take action. At noon the next day, Luo Chen woke up in a daze. This was a rare time for him to sleep in. In the second half of the night, he couldn't resist the weakness and fell asleep. Opening his eyes, lying on the bed blankly for a while, Luo Chen still gritted his teeth and forced himself to get up from the bed. No matter how hard it is not a reason to lie down and rot. He came to the living room, picked up a handful of spiritual herbs and spread them on the dustpan, ready to take them out to dry. Pushing open the door, the midday sun made his eyes unable to open for a while. When he adjusted himself, he suddenly found Wang Yuan standing outside. The other party threw something casually, and it fell into the dustpan filled with spiritual herbs. Take it, you will be a member of the Pashang gang from now on. If someone troubles you, just say that it was me, Wang Yuan, who protected you. Luo Chen looked at the iron token in the dustpan, his eyes a little dazed. Thank you, brother Wang. Wang Yuan waved his hand. What are you thanking me for? When I was at my lowest point, you gave me a few bottles of fasting pills on credit, and I didn't even say thank you. Okay, I'll give you the things, and I'll go back first. The outer city area may be uneasy from now on, so be careful when you go in and out. After saying that, he turned around and left without any hesitation. Chapter 18, Soul-Breaking Nail, Calming Incense. The origin of Luo Chen and Wang Yuan is not complicated. At that time, the two were casual cultivators who entered Dahofang at about the same time. But unlike Luo Chen, who only had the strength of the first level of key refining, Wang Yuan was a secular innate grandmaster who switched from martial arts to immortality by chance. Therefore, when he first entered Dahofang, Wang Yuan showed his excellent combat power. He even joined the hunting team and dared to go into the mountains to hunt low-level monsters. Luo Chen didn't have much strength at that time, But for the sake of life, he also went with them and helped with miscellaneous work. At that time, because of his personality and experience, Wang Yuan was different from the cautious casual cultivators. He was open-minded and had the demeanor of a martial arts grandmaster. But this demeanor brought him trouble in Dahofang. Several cultivators in the middle stage of key refining robbed him, took away everything on his body, and beat him seriously. After Wang Yuan recovered from his injuries, his personality changed. In order to prepare resources for cultivation, he planned to go into the mountains again. Several familiar friends lent him some things. Luo Chen, who was already able to refine the Bigu pill at that time, also lent him a few bottles. There are countless monsters in the millions of mountains in the East Wilderness. When cultivators enter the mountains, they basically never dare to make fires to cook, so the Bigu pill is still very useful. That time, Wang Yuan was alone and stepped into the Guian mountains in silence. He returned a month later and brought back the corpse of a first-level monster. Since then, not long after, the cultivators who had robbed Wang Yuan died one by one, and everyone knew that it must be Wang Yuan who secretly did it. But no one dared to make trouble for him because Wang Yuan joined the Pashan Gang. As the largest local casual cultivator force, the Pashan Gang is still well known. Coupled with Wang Yuan's ruthlessness, he can be regarded as a firm foothold in the outer city. Especially in the days that followed, Wang Yuan sold magic tools and exercises at the market every now and then. Those were all things of unknown origin. Thinking of the rumors when Wang Yuan debuted, everyone was even more afraid of him. It is a bit sad to say that Luo Chen and Wang Yuan came to Dahofang City at about the same time. 10 years have passed. Luo Chen is only at the 3rd level of key refining, but Wang Yuan is already a late-stage casual cultivator at the 7th level of key refining. It must be said that the gap between people is greater than that between people and dogs. He asked me to join the Pashan Gang and said that he would protect me in the future. What is the reason for such a sudden move? After Luo Chen arranged the herbs, he sat at the gate and played with the iron token engraved with the word mountain. Because of our past relationship. Or because I killed that short-lived ghost at the 5th level of key refining. Luo Chen didn't know, so he could only treasure the token and put it away. The following days were a bit monotonous. Processing various raw materials, practicing Chong Chunguang, and healing. In this way, it was not until 9 days later that the wound on Luo Chen's abdomen was completely healed. According to the previous plan, the refining of the Zongmiao pills could be officially started tomorrow. But Luo Chen's attention was on something else. This soul-breaking nail is actually a top-grade magic weapon. In his hand, there is a pair of dark and heavy long nails, with a sharp front end and a huge and heavy back end. Both long nails have a strong smell of blood, and the blood color is a bit creepy under the cover of black. He continued to inject magic power, and the soul-breaking nails hummed, and then flew out suddenly. Swish! A soul-breaking nail sank into a large stone in front of the courtyard at a speed of lightning, and the depth was unseen. It's so sharp. If nothing unexpected happens, it must have an armor-breaking formation engraved on it. Magical weapons have 3 grades, upper, middle and lower. The standard for judging the grade is the number and quality of the engraved formations. This pair of soul-breaking nails only has 1 formation engraved on it, but the armor-breaking formation is a 2nd-level formation, so it is extremely powerful. No wonder I was seriously injured without any chance to fight back. According to what the short-lived ghost said before he died, even Wang Yuan couldn't defend himself, which shows that the defense-breaking attribute has reached the extreme among magic weapons. Wang Yuan is not a weakling. Before he turned to cultivating immortality, he was a martial arts master in the secular world. After embarking on the path of cultivation, he killed countless people and monsters. He has a high realm and strong combat ability. The short-lived ghost was able to injure Wang Yuan at the 5th level of key refining, and the soul-breaking nail really played an indispensable role. However, the disadvantages seem to be obvious. Release 1 soul-breaking nail, and it actually consumed half of my spiritual power. If I shoot 2 at the same time, wouldn't I lose all my spiritual power in an instant? Moreover, Luo Chen kept urging his spiritual power, but the soul-breaking nail inside the boulder did not move at all. There is no return. The advantages and disadvantages of this top-grade magic weapon are too obvious. The defense-breaking ability is top-grade. It consumes a lot of mana and cannot be controlled. After it is fired, it cannot be summoned back with mana. That is, the material is hard enough and will not be easily damaged, Otherwise it can be considered a disposable magic weapon. Perhaps this is why, although it is engraved with a second-level formation, it can only be a high-grade magic weapon, not the top-grade magic weapon as rumored. Luo Chen broke the stone, dug out the soul-breaking nail, and happily put it into the storage bag. For me, going without returning is not a disadvantage, because I have never learned the traction technique. Compared with the rusty low-grade magic sword before, I can be considered to have upgraded my musket to a cannon. After a happy moment, Luo Chen returned to the house and lit a tranquilizing incense. Under the orchid-like musk fragrance, his restless soul gradually calmed down. A sense of comfort from the depths of his soul almost made him groan. But Luo Chen had no time to enjoy it, and hurriedly practiced a Chongchun Gong. One tranquilizing incense a day is enough for a cultivator to practice his life-defining skills 5 more times on the original basis. Luo Chen could only practice Chongchun Gong 8 times, but he could practice it 2 or 3 times. What does 8 times mean? 1 time restores 20% of the spiritual power, and 8 times restores 160%, which is enough to release 32 fireballs. It can be said that the value of the tranquilizing incense is second only to the storage bag and the soul-breaking nail in this acquisition. It is higher than the low-grade robe, the bottle of nourishing pills, and other things. Because this box of tranquilizing incense can allow him to practice many times, refresh the proficiency of Chongchun Gong, and can also be used to brush on the proficiency of other skills. When I have money in the future, I will not only buy a house, but also buy a lot of tranquilizing incense. After finishing the exercise, Luo Chen sighed, feeling that half of the mana consumed by releasing the soul-breaking nail just now has been restored. After sighing, he recalled the situation 10 days ago under the tranquilizing incense, in a quiet, peaceful and focused state. It can be said that he has been thinking about it almost all the time in the past 10 days. Even when he was dreaming, the scene reappeared several times. That was the first time he had faced death since he crossed over. He kept thinking about it, not because he was afraid, but because he wanted to remember the situation at that time to prevent facing that kind of thing again in the future. With the help of the calming incense, Luo Chen suddenly realized that he could have dealt with that battle better. The soul-breaking nail was fast, but he practiced a free and easy tour, so he could try to dodge it. Even if he couldn't dodge it, he wouldn't be injured so badly that he almost died on the spot. Moreover, the enemy was in a very bad state at that time. What if I took the initiative to attack? Could I catch the opponent off guard? The first to strike is the strongest, and the last to strike will suffer. In the end, I was indecisive and lucky. Even in the later direct battle, there were still great shortcomings. It was clear that the third fireball had broken the opponent's defense, and at most 2 more fireballs would be enough. But in his excitement, he squandered all his mana in one breath. So that after that, he had no fighting power. It was just luck that he met Wang Yuan. What if he met someone else? Did the other know him? Would they let him go? Haha, even if it was someone I knew, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to resist being tempted. The assets of 2 key refining cultivators were definitely a rich harvest. I have too little combat experience. Chapter 19, Ruthless Mobile Turret. Lack of practical experience is indeed Luo Chen's biggest shortcoming. But this shortcoming is caused by many factors, among which the cultivation realm is the biggest shackle. You can't expect a casual cultivator without good magic weapons, powerful spells, and a high realm to have rich combat experience. Wang Yuan is a rare example. The physical strength of the secular martial arts grandmaster is higher than that of most key refining cultivators. Moreover, before he became an immortal, Wang Yuan had accumulated enough experience in fighting humans. Otherwise, there are tens of thousands of casual cultivators in Dahofang City, and there are also hundreds of people in the late stage of key refining. Why does Wang Yuan have such a great reputation? With a realm of key refining at the 7th level, he sells magic weapons of unknown origin at the market every day, and he is still alive? Now Luo Chen also has a good magic weapon, soul-breaking nail, and a powerful spell, perfect fireball. Improving the realm has become a top priority. It just so happens that Luo Chen has the basic conditions for improving the realm. That bottle of key nourishing pills contained 10 intact pills, none of which had been opened. It was rumored that as long as one was willing to invest, 1,000 bottles of key nourishing pills could produce a cultivator at the 9th level of key refining. Of course, this was just a rumor. 1,000 bottles would cost 100,000 lower-grade spirit stones, which would be 10 pills if converted into upper-grade spirit stones. Even a large sect would not invest so much. Moreover, people with good spiritual roots would cultivate very quickly even if they did not take pills. Luo Chen's spiritual roots were very poor, so if there were pills in front of him, he would definitely take them. With the help of the tranquilizing incense, Luo Chen practiced a Chong Chun Gong again and maxed out his state. In this complete state, he took a key nourishing pill. The pill entered his body, was stimulated by the spiritual power, and turned into a rolling hot current that filled up the meridians and spiritual channels. A feeling of swelling and fullness filled Luo Chen's body. He frowned and practiced a Chong Chun Gong to mobilize the power of the medicine and return it to his danshan. The spiritual power absorbed and refined by the practice will be affected by the spiritual root qualifications, and the efficiency will be greatly reduced. But the pill will not. As long as it is swallowed, it will be refined slowly at most, but the medicinal power is in the body after all. Spend some time, and it will be refined sooner or later and return to your body. The process of taking the pill and transforming the medicine lasted for an hour. When Luo Chen felt the situation in his body, he opened his eyes and was full of joy. Click on the attribute panel. Name, Luo Chen, lifespan, 27/75, spiritual roots, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, realm, 3rd level of key refining. 78/100, skills, Chong Chun Gong mastery. 280/300, spells, fireball perfection 355/500, free and easy journey mastery 203/300, entanglement skill proficiency 176/200, cleansing skill beginner 52/100, skills, 1st level alchemist, grandmaster of Bigu powder 540/1000, beginner of a wonderful pills 37 out of 100, achievement points. 2 points, it's up. It's up. It's good to have a panel that displays attributes in real time. Luo Chen can observe his status at any time. The last time I checked, the realm column was the 3rd level of key refining. 76 out of 100. After refining the Yankee pill, it increased by 2 points to 78. In fact, Luo Chen also discovered that the attributes displayed on this panel are not of the same standard. For the techniques, spells, and skills, it's all proficiency. But for lifespan and realm, it's a progress bar. If I can completely refine this bottle of pills, the progress bar should be able to reach 96 out of 100, and it won't be far from breaking through to the 4th level. The proficiency of Chong Chun Gong is also rising very fast. With the help of tranquilizing incense, it should be able to reach the perfect level soon. The fireball technique has undergone a qualitative change when it is at the perfect level. What changes will Chong Chun Gong have after reaching the perfect level? Luo Chen is looking forward to it. On the 2nd day, Luo Chen entered the regular life again. Regular, but not boring. The refining of pills one by one is the growth of wealth. The refining of the nourishing pill is the improvement of cultivation. The increase in the proficiency of the fireball technique and the free and easy tour is the strengthening of combat power. This kind of visible continuous rise is simply addictive. If we don't consider the limited resources and the dangers of the outside world, Luo Chen is even willing to practice like this for the rest of his life. 3 days later, in the middle of the night, Luo Chen shivered all over. Then he opened his eyes with joy. The proficiency of Chong Chun Gong has reached the perfect level. I wonder if there are any changes. After a short rest, Luo Chen tried to practice this set of exercises again, feeling it carefully, trying to find the difference from before. Half an hour later, his face looked a little strange. The time has been shortened by half. It used to take an hour to run it once, but now it only takes half an hour. The amount of spiritual energy refined has also doubled. If the efficiency of spiritual energy absorption and transformation of 5 spiritual roots is taken as the standard for 4 spiritual roots is about twice, the standard for 3 spiritual roots is 4 times, and the standard for 2 spiritual roots is 8 times. Luo Chen does not know the specific standard for single spiritual root cultivators, that is, heavenly spiritual root cultivators, because he has never seen it. But there is at least a 20-fold standard. After all, there is a legend in the world of immortal cultivation that a heavenly spiritual root cultivator can build a foundation in 10 years without taking any elixir. That is really terrifying. Why did those sects not recruit Luo Chen in the past? His age was one reason, But the main reason was that his 5 spiritual roots hindered him. Without any external bonus, he would need at least 200 years to build a foundation. But the upper limit of the lifespan of a cultivator in the key refining stage is only 120 or 30. And now, the efficiency of Chongqing Gong in absorbing and transforming spiritual energy has doubled. What does this mean? It means that his current qualifications are comparable to those of 4 spiritual roots. Without relying on external objects, it only takes 100 years to build a foundation. This is good news, which means that the speed of my recovery of spiritual energy has greatly accelerated, and I can have more spiritual power to improve my spell proficiency. But I can't be proud and complacent. It is said that I am comparable to a cultivator with 4 spiritual roots, but 4 spiritual roots are also useless qualifications. And I only have 48 years left to live, and building a foundation is even more far away. So, blindly practicing hard is still not enough. In the final analysis, you still have to take drugs. Taking drugs requires spiritual stones, and not everyone can afford to consume key nourishing pills. The plan to earn spiritual stones cannot be stopped. This is a 100-year plan that will run through your life. Putting your mood in order, Luo Chen fell asleep peacefully with the aftertaste of the burning calming incense. The sky was slightly bright. On the misty plain beside the stream, a figure rose and fell like a rock. Every time the figure flashed by, it left a trail of afterimages. Fireball, go! With a low shout, a ball of blazing fireball suddenly flew out, smashing a huge earth pit on the plain covered with the weeds. The figure did not stop, nor did he stop to check the results of the battle, and continued to jump to the other side with super fast body movements. Then, as before, he fired another fireball from an oblique angle. Bang! 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 When Luo Chen stopped, the wasteland was in a mess, and the pits of all sizes were emitting a scorching breath. After taking a short breath, Luo Chen was very satisfied with the results of today's training. He no longer fantasized about the battle scenes of flying into the sky and escaping the ground, and beheading people with a sword. Instead, he began to imitate Wang Yuan's fighting style. Wang Yuan turned from martial arts to immortality, but his fighting style still retained some of the style of his mortal period. Use a strong physique to move quickly, and then use sharp magic weapons and various means to fight the enemy. The scene of Wang Yuan dragging a big knife, stepping on the beams, and falling from the sky really gave him a great shock. The result of fighting 1 against 3 was even more shocking. Luo Chen was not a fool, and he quickly absorbed the advantages of it. Although I don't have a strong close-range ability, the perfect level fireball technique has a super fast release speed and decent power. With the help of Zongmiao Pill, I can become a ruthless mobile turret. If I encounter an enemy that the fireball technique cannot break through, I still have 2 soul-breaking nails as a trump card. Close combat is too dangerous for the weak physique of a cultivator. Long-range mobile turrets are relatively safe and can attack or escape. Luo Chen has preliminarily determined his future fighting style in his continuous practice these days. After his realm is improved, he can start to increase his actual combat experience. And that day is not far away. Taking advantage of the refreshing morning breeze, Luo Chen jumped over the stream and returned home. Refine the elixir, refine the elixir. Now, he only wanted to make money. Chapter 20, Touching the Mountains. 55 bottles of Bigu pills, 30 bottles of wonderful pills. This is what Luo Chen achieved in 1 month. He only refined 50 bottles of Bigu pills, and the extra 5 bottles were the legacy left by that short-lived ghost. As for the 30 bottles of wonderful pills, it was a bit of a surprise. This time, 3 pots were successful, and the quality was all inferior. Putting the pills on the bluestone slab, Luo Chen put his hands on his hips, looking forward to today's big market. Taoist Chen still came a little later than him. Seeing Luo Chen, his old eyes were full of resentment. 50 spirit stones. He just took it back last time, and it was borrowed back by this kid again. He has made plans. No matter how hard Luo Chen tries today, he must get back the loan. Definitely. Xiao Luo, your alchemy skills are even more profound. The corner that was allocated to Luo Chen before had never been filled. But today it was densely packed with jade bottles, at least 50 or 60 bottles, almost full. It can be seen from this that Luo Chen's alchemy skills must have become more profound. Luo Chen chuckled, "It's all thanks to your generous help, fellow Taoist Chen. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the money to refine more pills. HMPH, I'm glad you know that. Taoist Chen snorted, and then said righteously, I borrowed from you because I was kind, but you have to return the spiritual stones to me today. Of course, of course. Luo Chen looked like he would repay what he had borrowed. Taoist Chen's expression looked better now. He was really in a bad mood because he was in debt. Suddenly, he exclaimed. Huh? Xiao Luo, are you at the 4th level of key refining? Luo Chen was curious, how did you know? I have practiced the spirit eye technique, and observing key and detecting spirits is just a minor skill. Taoist Chen said with some doubts, don't you have the 5 spiritual roots? How can you break through the middle stage of key refining at this age? Spirit eye technique is a low-level spell that can use spiritual energy to make the vision of the eyes clearer, and at the same time have the ability to observe key and detect spirits. Among the low-level spells, it is known as one of the 5 must-know spells in the key refining period, along with fireball, wind control, traction, and healing. Unfortunately, except for fireball, Luo Chen does not know any of the other 4. Entanglement and fireball were both obtained by the original owner in a chance encounter. Cleansing is just one of the most rubbish spells, which he exchanged for a bottle of Kigan pills at the market. Chen Liodao looked at Luo Chen with a strange expression. He probably didn't expect that one day Luo Chen would be a cultivator in the middle stage of key refining, like himself. Although there is no huge difference between the middle stage and the early stage cultivators, the upper limit of the spiritual power in the body can be directly doubled. Various combat methods can also be used calmly. The early stage cultivators in Daofang are just the lowest level. If you don't have a skill, you can only do odd jobs and be assigned by others. But the middle stage is different. You can join various forces and receive various well-paid tasks. It can be said that the cultivators in the middle stage of key refining have the capital to live in Daofang City. Facing the old man's doubts, Luo Chen just smiled and said that he was lucky. In fact, this was just what he should have meant. A bottle of Yankee pills provided him with a lot of spiritual energy, which directly pulled his progress bar to 96 out of 100. The remaining spiritual energy he needed was obtained by his hard work day and night in the past 20 days, using the perfect Chong Chunguang and the tranquilizing incense. Breaking through to the 4th level of key refining was a natural result. Helping Chen Liodao to arrange the talisman skin, Luo Chen pointed to the place where Wang Yuan usually set up his stall with some doubt. Hasn't Brother Wen come to set up a stall recently? Don't you know about the big things that happened in the outer city recently? Chen Liodao looked at him strangely. Luo Chen was confused. That's right, you live too far away, if you don't pay attention, you may not know. Chen Liodao explained to himself, and then said meaningfully, recently, the Dejiang Gang and Lionian Merchant Alliance have formed an alliance. Isn't this normal? Lionian Merchant Alliance is a well-known independent cultivator force in Yuding Domain, and its industries are spread across large and small markets in Yuding Domain. The main business is to transfer and sell natural materials and treasures from all over the country, and make a profit from the difference. This inevitably involves the transportation business. As mentioned before, storage bags are not something that ordinary casual cultivators can own, and if you want to do such a large-scale business, a few storage bags will not play a big role. Therefore, Lionian Business Alliance has always had a good cooperative relationship with the local Dejiang Gang. The Dejiang Gang makes a living on the Langkang River in Daofang City. Since ancient times, both at home and abroad, water transport has been one of the most profitable businesses, and the industrial chains involved are countless. It is normal for Lionian Business Alliance to choose to form an alliance with the Dejiang Gang and conduct in-depth cooperation. Taoist Chen shrugged, but it's not normal for the Dejiang Gang to get involved in the business in the mountains. Business in the mountains? Luo Chen asked in surprise. Isn't that the territory of the Pashan Gang? Tisk. Taoist Chen sneered. What Pashan Gang? The millions of mountains in the East Wilderness are the territory of monsters. The 6 great sects in the Far East don't dare to say that it is their business. Let's put it this way, the Dejiang Gang has set its sights on the several safe routes that the Pashan Gang has explored in the past 100 years. Taoist Chen likes to gossip and also likes to inquire about gossip. After all, these things are not valuable. Sometimes, when encountering high-level cultivators from outside, these information can be used to earn a few spirit stones. He found out clearly that the Dejiang Gang was serious. At first, he sent people to explore the safe way into the mountains and suffered heavy losses. Later, he attacked the road trodden by the Pashan Gang. The Pashan gang was naturally unwilling, and then there were various conflicts. A month ago, the magic weapons that Wang Yuan sold were the spoils of war captured by the monks of the Pashan gang when they killed the people of the Dejiang gang in the mountains. Now the conflict is getting more and more intense, and the fight between the two sides is no longer limited to the mountains. In the evenings of the outer city, fights between the two gangs would occur from time to time. Luo Chen listened to these gossips and his mind worked. You mentioned the alliance between Lion Merchant Alliance and Dejiang gang before. Could it be that the actions of Dejiang gang were instigated by Lion Merchant Alliance? After asking this question, Luo Chen's mind turned faster. By the way, the various natural treasures and monsters obtained by the Pashan gang from hunting were sold to major forces at high prices. Lion Merchant Alliance is not a sect force, so they will naturally not be satisfied with those prices. Now the alliance with Dejiang gang is also to cultivate a rival to compete with the Pashan gang for food. If it really succeeds, then the cost of their acquisition of resources in the future will be much smaller. Chen Liodao hummed. You are not stupid, I think so too. Otherwise, the Dejiang gang would not have taken action earlier or later. Why would they have set their sights on the mountains before and after the alliance? After agreeing, there was a deep sigh. The two gangs' actions made the already unsafe outer city area even more chaotic. There were also some independent cultivators mixed in, taking advantage of the situation, and those honest independent cultivators would suffer. Wang Yuan has been very famous recently. He guarded the mountain road, killed 5 or 6 mid-stage cultivators, and even killed an 8th-level key refining cultivator from the Dejiang gang. It's normal that he didn't come today. Taoist Chen shook his head. If it continues to be so chaotic, I plan to move into the inner city. Xiao Luo, what about you? Luo Chen fell into silence. He lived in the most remote southwest corner, adjacent to the Xiao Mountains, but far away from the Guiyang Mountains and the Daxu Mountains where the Pashan gang mainly operated. If there is a conflict, it should not affect him. But just in case. Let me take a look. The rent and deposit for living in the inner city are not a small amount. Living in the market is not easy. Living in the inner city is not something that ordinary casual cultivators can afford. Sighing, Luo Chen put his mood in order, forced a smile, and greeted today's guests. Friend Zeng, good morning, what time is it? On the hour. Chapter 21, Get Rich. The Bigu pill was sold for 11 spirit stones, and the wonderful pill was sold for 150. Adding it all up, it totaled 161. This was Luo Chen's income today. After counting the spirit stones, Luo Chen couldn't close his legs from laughing. He had been neither losing nor gaining for so long before, but this time he finally made a small profit. If the 92 spirit stones contributed by the short-lived ghost were added, his savings would instantly soar to 253. This was an unprecedented peak. He could buy 2 low-grade magic tools, or 2.5 bottles of Yankee pill, or have a spiritual feast at Zhongding's house for half a month. He could even book a few nights at Xiangxiang Tower. However, these thoughts did not stay in Luo Chen's mind for half a second. With more working capital, what should he use it for? Of course, it would be to expand production, become bigger and stronger, and create greater glory. Dao Iao Aluo, should I return that? Uncle Chen, do you want to eat fish? This is what I caught yesterday. I used the fireball technique to roast it over a slow fire for half an hour. You can heat it up a little. It's delicious. But, as for the spiritual stones, I know everything about them. Xian Aluo is in the rising stage of his skills, and he needs more medicinal materials to practice. When I make enough money, I will definitely return it to you. Then I will have a banquet at the Zhongding family and personally entertain you. Zhongding's family is the most high-end restaurant in Dahofang. They sell ingredients that contain spiritual energy, drink wine brewed from the spiritual veins, and the snacks and fruits to pass the time are all rare goods transported from the Langkang River. Seeing that Chen Liodao was a little tempted, Luo Chen struck while the iron was hot. Besides, I'm already a great cultivator in the middle stage of key refining. Would I be greedy for your mere 50 yuan and not return it? Don't worry, I will definitely return it to you when the time comes. I'm in a hurry to purchase medicinal materials, so I'll leave first. Seeing Luo Chen running away in a flash, Chen Liodao felt a little annoyed. This little scoundrel. He is a bit like him in the past, and he uses 1 or 2 spiritual stones tightly. I just hope that the banquet you said about this Hongding family is not a lie to an old man like me. Double the price of the red flame chicken blood. Yes, the more the better. How many pieces of jam are left? I want them all. Please leave more for me next time. Give me 5 caddies of this. After a large purchase, Luo Chen was so busy that sweat broke out on his forehead. The market of casual cultivators is good in every way, except that they like to bargain. Even if some people have done business with him several times, they still like to talk about the season and market conditions. In comparison, although the things in Baekeodang are expensive, at least you don't have to waste your breath. Moreover, being expensive is not the shortcoming of Baekeodang, that is the shortcoming of Luo Chen. 400 servings of scallops, 40 fire dog whips. Fellow Taoist Luo, are you sure you can eat so much? The fat shopkeeper Liu Heke was a little surprised. It has only been a short time, only 2 or 3 transactions, and the purchase volume of this little key refining cultivator has quadrupled. Even if the body is weak, it is not made like this. Your store is a 4-region chain, a 500-year-old store, you should still have this inventory, right? Luo Chen said. Shopkeeper Liu shook his head, there must be goods, it's you. Shopkeeper Liu suddenly sniffed his nose and asked in surprise, young friend, you are not an alchemist, are you? My skills are crude, not worth mentioning, but the shopkeeper has a good eye. My goodness, a wild alchemist. Shopkeeper Liu looked at Luo Chen with a strange look in his eyes, and he didn't know whether it was ridicule or admiration. He was sure that Luo Chen was a casual cultivator, without any family or sect background. From the other party's clothes, temperament, and even the realm of cultivation. But it was because of this that he was surprised. In this day and age, casual cultivators dare to touch such a high-end technology as alchemy? The other party is really a little ignorant. Of course, in business, it is said that harmony brings wealth. Shopkeeper Liu showed a warm smile. Those who can make alchemy at this age must be talented. If you can make a good pill in the future, you may as well show it to me. This made Luo Chen curious. Shopkeeper, do you also collect pills? The spiritual medicine pavilion next door and my Baekeodang are from the same Yaowang sect. So, you understand. Luo Chen's eyes lit up and realized something. If I can sell my own pills in the spiritual medicine pavilion, it is just like a small workshop liquor on earth being advertised in the prime time of CCTV. Spirit stones are coming in like a bang. Without saying anything else, the most basic key nourishing pill in the key refining period is directly sold at 100 spirit stones per bottle in the spiritual medicine pavilion. Hey, you don't bargain, take it or not. Outside this door, there is no other place to sell it. Unexpectedly, this shopkeeper Liu actually has the means to send elixirs to the spiritual medicine pavilion. However, at present, this matter has nothing to do with him. Even if the market demand for Zongmiao pills is huge, his proficiency and output have not been improved, and he is not worthy of cooperating with the spiritual medicine pavilion. The two chatted for a few more sentences, and shopkeeper Liu promised to guarantee the supply of scallops and fire dog whips. According to him, the fire dog whips come from a cultivation family under the Yaowang sect, and the annual output is very stable and reliable. Facing the strange eyes of Miss Xiaoling, Luo Chen put the herbs into the storage bag and said goodbye. After he left, shopkeeper Liu was amazed. The forest is big, there are really all kinds of birds. Now low-level casual cultivators dare to try to refine pills. Pa. Miss Xiaoling spat, her face slightly red, and said, I'm afraid the pills they refine are not good. Is Zongmiao pills a good pill? This depends on personal opinion. For cultivators who are ambitious but want to enjoy the joy of human relations, it is a blessing for men. For those who are not interested in the great way and indulge in pleasure, it is even more of a sharp weapon on their waist. Perhaps the only thing that is a bit sorry is the spirit beast fiery dog. Every time someone uses the Zongmiao pill to go to Wushan for lovemaking, there must be a fiery dog in an unknown place, howling heartbreakingly. It really is true that I didn't kill Bo Ren, but Bo Ren died because of me. On the way back, Luo Chen was very happy. After so many times of going to the market, this time was the most relaxing. No longer have to carry a snakeskin bag and walk through the streets. The storage bag is really a good thing, which can be called the greatest invention in the world of immortal cultivation. The lowest price of 10,000 is completely worthy of its noble status. I don't know which sect produced this thing. I'm afraid they curl up in bed every day and count the spirit stones like crazy. Because it was broad daylight in the afternoon, the outer city area looked quite safe. Although there were always some colorful bloodstains on the road, Luo Chen had already gotten used to it. Expand the free and easy tour that has reached the mastery level, and pass through the downtown like the wind, eager to go home. This time, the purchase cost more than 200 spiritual stones, leaving only 40 spiritual stones for emergency use. Raw materials for the Zongmiao pills, raw materials for the Bigu powder, and daily necessities. It really feels like going out once a month in the previous life to go shopping in a big supermarket. After arriving home, Luo Chen put all the things in different categories and began to practice today. In addition to the fireball spell, he also picked up the entanglement spell. After all, it is a basic spell that comes with a Chong Chunguang, and the proficiency is 176 out of 200, and it is not far from the mastery level. Although this spell is generally evaluated very low. But it is a wood spell, which is perfectly adapted to the Chong Chunguang. The power is determined by the consumption of spiritual power. If the proficiency of the entanglement spell is raised, Luo Chen can also have an additional means to fight the enemy. And who said that the entanglement spell can't kill people? A certain god king secretly clicked a thumbs up. At night, after washing, Luo Chen sat cross-legged on the bed, with his 5 hearts facing the sky, and practiced the skills to restore spiritual power. The perfect Chong Chunguang is good, it takes less time, is highly efficient, and is more suitable for my body, like a tailor-made method. Even without the help of the Yankee pill, Luo Chen can feel that the speed of practice is completely different from before. He finished the exercise and lay down to sleep. Suddenly, Luo Chen, who had just closed his eyes, opened his eyes and stared straight at the door. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22, What are these poor guys doing? The night wind was howling, full of murderous intent. A figure was running in the woods, and he looked behind him from time to time. Did I get rid of him? He murmured to himself, his eyes fixed, and then he gritted his teeth and used up his limited spiritual power to continue running wildly. The wind-controlling art did not bring him a cool feeling, but instead a panic that made him feel like his insides were burning. It was because behind him, a monk in blue was chasing him at high speed on a flying disc. Zhongsan, you can't run away. Zhongsan turned a deaf ear and rushed madly towards the Zhao Mountains. As long as he entered the Zhao Mountains, he could rely on the complex terrain to get rid of Gao Tengayan. The speed of flying with wind control is much faster than the magic weapon Lotus Leaf Flying Disc. However, the spiritual power consumed by casting spells must be much higher than the flying tool, such as the Lotus Leaf Flying Disc. Gao Tengayan followed behind with a gloomy face. As long as he felt that the distance was far enough, he would activate his spiritual power and speed up to catch up. Haha, instead of running to the Pashangang headquarters, he ran to this wilderness in a panic. He really wants to die. With a sneer, Gao Tengai held a talisman in his hand, ready to activate at any time. But as the surrounding scenery gradually changed, Gao Tengai's face became a little uncertain. No, he wants to run into the mountains. The people of the Pashangang are much more familiar with the nearby mountains than those of them who walk on the rivers and lakes all year round. If he really runs in and hides for 2 or 3 days, I really can't do anything to him. Forget it, this magic talisman can only be wasted on you. Gao Tengai did not hesitate, put away the Lotus Leaf Flying Disc, took out a yellow talisman and stuck it on his body. Inject spiritual power. The next moment, a figure rolled up a yellow light, like a soil dragon, whistling. The distance to the enemy in front is getting closer and closer. Sensing the scene, Josan's soul was straight, but no matter how he activated his spiritual power, he couldn't pull away. The wind-controlling technique also has its limits. Josan, come and die. With a light shout, a flying sword flew from hundreds of meters away. Swish! Josan staggered a step, but did not fall down. Instead he ran even more desperately. Gao Tengai recalled the flying sword, which was stained with a layer of bright red blood. You are quite durable, I wonder how many rounds you can hold out. Gao Tengai continued to chase and kill, the night wind hitting his face, but it was somewhat refreshing. Dao, save me. The cry for help came, extremely shrill. Luo Chen's face was extremely ugly, hiding behind the door, with a stack of talismans hanging around his waist and a soul-breaking nail in his hand. "Save your mother, don't come to me," he complained in his heart. Zhou-san must not hear it. On the contrary, Zhou-san rushed straight towards his house. "Daijiang Gang is doing business, outsiders, get out of the way." With a loud shout, a huge fireball suddenly lit up in the dark night sky. Through the crack in the door, Luo Chen's eyes widened. "Damn it, what are you doing?" The next moment, a big fireball crashed down like a meteorite, aiming not only at Zhou-san, but also at Luo Chen's yard. Boom! Gao Tingai landed gracefully, the yellow light on his body disappeared, and the magic talisman was completely scrapped. Facing the flames of the house that collapsed on the side and burned fiercely. "Look at the corpse lying on the ground. You are quite good at pretending to be dead." Before he finished speaking, the corpse on the ground just turned over, and a flying sword pierced through his body and stuck him into the ground. With a sneer, Gao Tingai glanced sideways. "Are you going to get out by yourself, or are you going to be burned to death in there?" The answer to him was a fireball. "You dare to show off your skills in front of me?" Gao Tingai raised his hand, and a yellowish-brown light shield covered his body. The fireball hit it, creating a layer of yellowish-brown halo, and then disappeared. He stretched out his hand and the flying sword on the ground was back to his hand. "Senior, please show mercy." Gao Tinge looked at the man who had tumbled out of the window in a panic and shook his head in disdain. He was just a waste at the 4th level of key refining. Suddenly, he shouted angrily, "How dare you!" Another fireball hit him. The fireball was not scary. What made him angry was that the other party, who was only at the 4th level of key refining, dared to attack him after seeing him. In a rage, the flying sword was about to attack. As for the fireball, he didn't care at all. His Su Earth Shield had the best defense power among most low-level spells. Not to mention the fireball spell, even the meteor shower could not break it. However, the next moment, his face changed. After the fireball was annihilated, a black light broke through his Su Earth Shield like a knife cutting tofu, and then went straight into his chest. Swish! Soul-breaking! Boom! 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 Under the night sky, a figure moved like a ghost. His hands kept pinching the seals, and he fired balls of fire crazily. Gao Tingai wanted to use the Earth Shield again, but he couldn't get a break from the endless fireball attack. His casting speed is so fast. This was Gao Tingai's only thought before he fell. Luo Chen stood 200 meters away, staring at the fallen body. "It's possible that he is pretending to be dead. I have used this trick, and the previous person also used this trick. So, we have to test it." Without hesitation, Luo Chen fired another fireball. Bang! The body didn't react, as if it was dead. Luo Chen was still unsure. At such a long distance, if the other party was really pretending to be dead, he still had a chance to escape. But if he was not really on the verge of despair, how could he pretend to be dead? Luo Chen's eyes lit up, he recited a short formula, and his fingers moved suddenly. I saw a stream of green light winding out like a vine on the ground in the distance, entangled the monk's neck. Zhang! A sword sounded, and Luo Chen was startled, and then increased his spiritual power. The vine twisted his neck tightly until his head was twisted twice before gradually dissipating. "It's really pretending to be dead, but it's a pity that this trick doesn't work in front of me." Relieved, Luo Chen walked to the corpse. Looking at the neck that looked like a twisted dough and the face with a weird expression, Luo Chen's mood was very calm this time. There was no anger for being affected by the innocent, nor was there the pride of attacking and killing the enemy. Sometimes, adapting to a trend is a very easy thing. Luo Chen's ability to adapt has always been very good. He just sighed. It turns out that the entanglement technique can really kill people, and he will never laugh at a certain god king again. He shook his head. Forget it, looking at this twisted neck, shaking his head is really a bit creepy. Luo Chen began to touch the corpse with ease. A swallow-shaped flying sword, the specific quality will be seen later. A lotus leaf flying disc, he knew this, it was a low-grade flying magic weapon, sold at Wanbao Tower for 150 yuan, half the price of an ordinary first-grade low-grade one. The robe was ruined. Hey, there was also a close-fitting inner armor, no wonder it was still stiff and alive after being hit by my soul-breaking nails and more than a dozen fireballs. It's a pity that it was also scrapped. No spiritual stones? No skills? Even less storage bags? Damn, what a poor bastard. After picking out the soul-breaking nail from the chest, Luo Chen cursed and touched another corpse. In the end, He only got a set of flying knife magic weapons and a small bag of spiritual stones, nothing else. Damn, another poor bastard. A bunch of poor bastards, why are you playing with your lives every day? After complaining, Luo Chen looked back at his burning house, wanting to cry but without tears. The local gangs are so rude. Chapter 23. The profit you made wasn't that big. The sky was high and the air was vast, and the sea was calm. On a large ship, Wang Heichao, the leader of the Daijiang gang, stood at the bow, listening to the reports of his subordinates behind him. Last night we attacked 7 strongholds of the Pashan gang in the outer city, and we gained a lot. A second-level monster tiger skin, thousands of low-level spiritual materials, and tens of thousands of spiritual stones. The brothers' gains are not included. According to your orders, whoever grabs it will own it. Boss, we have made a lot of money this time. Wang Heichao did not even turn his head. It was just a small fight. It just attracted their attention to the mountains, so we got this result. He sighed with boredom and patted the railing. Xiao Gao, how much damage did we suffer last night? The subordinate called Xiao Gao was not tall at all, with a short stature and a fierce expression. He was dressed in black and shorts, which highlighted the muscles on his arms to the fullest. The damage was minor. Only a few dozen members of the 4th and 5th levels of key refining died. Those above the 7th level were not seriously injured. Oh, Ding Yilan was a bit unlucky. He met Wang Yuan and Broken Blade, who came back from the mountains to rescue him. The 2 knives chopped his top-grade magic weapon and the turtle shield into pieces. Xiao Gao said with a smile. It would have been fine if he hadn't smiled, but he looked even more fierce after smiling. Wang Heichao smiled, then his loss was indeed a bit big. Let's give him a top-grade magic weapon from the harvest this time. Don't let him not have a magic weapon in the future when he fights. After saying that, he frowned again. The 2 knives of the Pashan gang are a bit annoying. The Pashan gang has thousands of members, and nearly 100 cultivators in the late stage of key refining. The leader, Old Man Mi, is a cultivator in the foundation building stage like him. He rarely does things himself. Usually, his capable subordinates do things. There are 2 knives in the headquarters, and 7 man-eating tigers in the 7 strongholds. Compared with the 7 masters, the 2 knives are the most annoying thing for the Daijiang gang. Wang Yuan, the Mad Blade, and Su Renki, the Broken Blade. Su Renki, the Broken Blade, has been famous for many years and has been in many markets. Finally, he was recruited by Old Man Mi and stayed in Daofang. But Wang Yuan, the Mad Blade, has only practiced for 10 years. In his debut battle, he single-handedly killed several mid-level monks who had robbed him. After that, he went into the mountains to hunt and had conflicts with others many times. In the end, it was Old Man Mi who personally recruited him and he joined the Pashan gang. But after that, Wang Yuan did not do anything earth-shattering. On the contrary, over the years, he has been doing dirty work for the Pashan gang. He specializes in selling second-hand magic weapons, exercises, etc. that are of unknown origin. It was not until not long ago that he fought 1 against 3 and brought back the heads of 3 Daijiang gang members that people noticed this man who had been doing dirty work for many years. It was thought that he was just lucky that time. But no one expected that in the next month, he guarded the mountain road with 1 knife and killed the Daijiang gang. Masters of the same level were not his opponents. Luo Renji, who was at the 8th level of key refining, died in his hands. Even the cultivator of the 9th level of key refining of the Daijiang gang was no match for him after a fierce battle. In just 1 month, he completely earned the name of the Mad Blade. Even the Broken Blade guest said frankly that Wang Yuan's fighting ability was not inferior to his, and he was even at the foundation building stage. It was with the affirmation of the Broken Blade guest that Wang Yuan got the title of the 2 knives of the Pashan gang. Hearing the words of the gang leader, Xiao Gao was silent. As the first person under the leader of the Daijiang gang, he always thought highly of himself. Broken Blade Su Renki and him were only 50-50. If they were to fight on the big rivers, he would be sure to easily defeat the enemy within 100 rounds. But he was a little unsure about the Mad Blade. It was said that the guy was also good at water battles. Why did such a person appear? The 7th level of key refining was so fierce. If he was allowed to cultivate to the 9th level of key refining, wouldn't he dare to challenge the foundation building stage? Forget it, we are just doing things for others, and those 2 knives will naturally be dealt with by someone else. Wang Heichao stretched and asked casually, "Where's your little brother?" "I don't know, He said he wanted to get his storage bag, and he also participated in the attack on the 7 halls of Pashan last night, but he hasn't come back yet. Aren't you worried about him getting into trouble? Haha, I gave him the Wu 2 cover you gave me. As long as he doesn't meet someone at the 9th level of key refining, he won't be in danger. Xiao Gao was not worried at all, and added, and he has a magic talisman, so if he wants to run, even someone at the 9th level of key refining can't catch up with him. Wang Heichao nodded. With the Wu 2 cover and the magic talisman, no one below the foundation building level can threaten Xiao Gao's brother. Okay, keep an eye on the gang's affairs recently. There may be a counterattack from the Pashan gang next, but our help is coming soon. Help? Does it refer to the masters of the Lianian Business Alliance? Xiao Gao was thoughtful. In Dahofang, the inner city, in a small house in the tallest building, Yuding Sword Pavilion, Sun Shou tore the beef jerky and put it into his mouth in small strips. Although it doesn't have much spiritual power, it tastes really good. Xiao Luo, if you don't practice immortality in the future, you can open a beef restaurant in the secular world. It will definitely be popular. Luo Chen smiled shyly. Going back to his hometown? It's impossible to go back to his hometown in this life. He didn't even know where the way home was. After eating the beef jerky in his hand, Sun Shou clapped his hands and opened his mouth with few teeth left. Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? It's not time to pay the rent for your house yet. I want to rent a house. Well, renting a house is right. The southwest corner is too remote and too dangerous. Tell me where you want to rent. I won't eat the beef jerky you gave me in vain. I will find you a spacious and safe one. While speaking, he picked up a compass. The spiritual power was injected, and the compass instantly lit up with dense lights. At first glance, there were tens of thousands of them. But when he touched his hand, the dense lights dimmed by nearly 90%. The ones that were still lit were the empty houses in the outer city. Luo Chen's eyes lit up, spacious. What's the matter? You still don't trust your grandpa, son? Sun Shou was 121 years old, an outer disciple of the Jading Sword sect. In terms of age, he was really qualified to be Luo Chen's grandpa. Of course, Luo Chen didn't care. It was just a few words of address. He still called Chen Liodao uncle every day. As long as he could really rent a good house for him, he would call Sun Shou uncle for a day. I want to rent one in the inner city. Inner city? Let me see. Inner city. Sun Shou looked at Luo Chen suspiciously. You used to live in a house for half a spirit stone a month, rent a stall for half a spirit stone a month, and now you changed to one in the inner city in one go. After a look, he suddenly smiled. The robes were different from before, and the looming evil spirit. This kid has done a big deal. Now, he wants to come to the inner city to enjoy himself. Okay, I'm not just talking nonsense. If you want to see the houses in the inner city, I'll take you there in person. After putting the compass into the storage bag, he stood up tremblingly. Luo Chen hurriedly supported his shoulders, fearing that the old man would accidentally fall to the ground and die. I don't know what sin he has committed. At such an old age, he doesn't stay in the sect to retire, but runs to this remote place to work. He really lives and works until he is old, dedicating his life to the sect. This house is big enough, it's close to Xiangxiang Tower. I'm afraid you haven't eaten meat yet. Too expensive. How about this one? The previous resident was a physical practitioner of the sect, and he can even exercise his body normally. It must be big enough. Too expensive. It seems that you want a cheaper one. The one in the north of the city is cheap enough. I'll take you to have a look. 2 hours later. Sun Shou threw away Luo Chen's hand and said angrily, it seems that the money you made is not big enough. Why do you come to the inner city to spend it? Luo Chen said confidently, there are gang fights outside every day. I'm afraid I will be killed on the street if I'm not careful. Okay, I'll keep my promise and help you find a big house. Sun Shou gritted his teeth and took Luo Chen into the depths of the alley. After walking in the winding alley for an unknown period of time, female cultivators appeared from time to time on the roadside and greeted the old man's son enthusiastically. Suddenly, the dark alley was bright. A courtyard appeared in front of him. After entering the gate and bypassing the screen wall, Sun Shou went straight to the longest and widest big house. This is it, the back house, the largest area. If we squeeze in, it's not a problem to live in 17 or 18 people. Luo Chen looked at this room with satisfaction. The area was no less than his previous house with a small courtyard. The only drawback was that there was no light, which looked gloomy. How many spirit stones? The lowest price, 10 low-grade spirit stones a month, 1 deposit and 3 payments. 1 deposit and 3 payments, that means you have to pay 40 spirit stones in one go. I have to say, it's a bit painful. But it's not easy to find such a large and cheap house in the inner city. If Sun Shou wasn't very familiar with the houses in Dahofang City, ordinary people really couldn't find this place. In addition, you have to pay 1 spirit stone for management fee and 1 spirit stone for night incense every month. Luo Chen's eyes widened. Management fee? What is that? Old man Sun rolled his eyes. Someone has to deal with the waste you produce, right? The neighbors are not harmonious, and they are not allowed to fight. Sooner or later, they will come to me to coordinate, and they should also give me some compensation. But. No buts. What about night incense? Do you want to learn from the outer city to urinate and defecate anywhere, and the smell of feces and urine is stronger than the spiritual energy? Okay. I admit it. People under the eaves of Yuding have to bow their heads. Oh, there is one more thing I want to remind you of. Another. Luo Chen's fists hardened, but when he thought of the old man in front of him who was at the 9th level of key refining, he softened again. He couldn't beat him, he couldn't beat him. Sun Shou pointed to a pile of firewood at the door of the main house opposite. If you want to cook, remember to burn the smokeless firewood. If it will produce smoke, I suggest you rent a magic tool from me that can collect smoke. Ah, why is that? Luo Chen was completely confused. Where are we? It's the inner city, a place for cultivation built in the first level spiritual vein. There is too much turbid air. Do you still want to cultivate? The world of cultivating immortals must pay attention to environmental protection, right? Luo Chen took a magic tool from the old man in a daze, called something like the Light Smoke and Sparse Rain Tower. It was square and pointed, and when used, it could be installed at the boundary between the inside and outside of the house. After signing a deed and paying 43 spirit stones, this big house will belong to Luo Chen for the next 4 months. When sending the old man away, Luo Chen asked casually, although the lighting is a bit poor, it shouldn't be that much cheaper than other houses of the same standard, right? Guess why? Chapter 24, the new home is so nice. Why? Of course there are ghosts. Kie, who had just gotten up, said with a smile while combing her waist-length hair. Didn't senior son tell you? Luo Chen was shocked. There are ghosts. Kie threw her long hair back. Why are you so surprised? It's normal for us to have ghosts in the world of immortal cultivation. Yes. This is the world of immortal cultivation, not the earth. Why should I be surprised? It is well known that there are ghosts in the inner city, and there are many of them. Kie said slowly, and these things can basically be said by anyone who has lived in the inner city for a long time. In fact, the Jadeling domain was only opened up 300 years ago. Before that, this huge area was also part of the millions of mountains in the East Wilderness. 400 years ago, the Jadeling Sword sect cut down the mountains and held a war of opening up at a huge cost. A total of 16 sects participated. Among them, there are 7 upper sects with Yuanying cultivators. Now, in the 6 regions of the Far East on the map, the other 5 major sects have sent a large number of foundation building and gold and elixir cultivators to participate. It took 100 years to establish this area 300 years ago. In that 100-year war, people and monsters fought fiercely, fighting for every inch of land, and countless people died and injured. In the end, the victory of the Yuding Sword sect was the ending. Victory is victory, but there are still many messes left. For example, all kinds of ghosts, whether human or monster, are mixed together, almost turning this area into a ghost den. In response to this situation, the major sects also have mature coping methods. Various means of calming the soul, eliminating the soul, and collecting the soul are emerging in an endless stream. For some ghosts that are too powerful, when they cannot be eliminated in the short term, the method of suppression and elimination is adopted. Nowadays, many large market towns in the Yuding area actually suppress many powerful ghosts, including ghost generals and ghost kings. Why did they market build inner and outer cities? In fact, it is to gather the spiritual energy on the spiritual veins to eliminate the ghosts suppressed below. We just suppressed a ghost king here. Especially the back house where you live is at the center of the formation, and the yin energy is quite heavy. Ki stared at Luo Chen with a smile, waiting for the little guy to show a look of fear. However, Luo Chen was not a fool. Old man's son could rent a house to him, and Kie dared to live in this yard, which meant there was no danger. He thought for a while and asked, "Is it a male ghost or a female ghost?" Kie was stunned, and after reacting, she spat, "It's a pervert." After joking, she said seriously, "Don't worry about anything. This formation was arranged by Master Jinden. It is based on the inner city and collects the power of the spirit veins. The Ghost King can't affect our daily practice. At most, it will be a little cold when we sleep. I am a great cultivator of the 4th level of key refining. How can I be afraid of the cold?" Luo Chen smiled confidently, showing the style of a cultivator. Kie smiled and stood up. "Okay, I'm going to start work. Let's talk again tomorrow morning when we are free." "Start work at this time?" Luo Chen looked at the setting sun in confusion. "Excuse me, what do you do?" "I'm a dancer at Xiangxianglao. Come and play when you have time." Kie left with a smile, leaving a faint fragrance. Looking at the slender back of this neighbor, Luo Chen could probably imagine how beautiful she would be when she danced. "Unfortunately, I can't afford it." Luo Chen returned to his room. After cleaning it, he ventilated it for an afternoon, and finally there was no odor. Kie, the neighbor who lived in the main room, gave him a piece of musk. He said that as long as he put it in the incense burner and burned it, it would not only smell good, but also repel insects. If you don't have an incense burner, burn it in a bowl, the effect will be the same. After lighting the musk, Luo Chen began to take things out of the storage bag. In fact, there were not many things, except for various medicinal materials, pots and pans. Some of the things still had burnt marks. In the battle last night, half of his house was burned down. Later, he used a small cloud and rain talisman to put out the fire. Not much was salvaged from it. The medicinal materials that he had taken out and sorted out in the afternoon were almost all destroyed in there. Only the bedroom and the kitchen were spared. The only thing to be thankful for was that the valuable main materials were all in the storage bag and had not been taken out for processing. After counting, the loss was huge, and to the last digit it was 108 spiritual stones. But the harvest was also very great. The first monk who died provided a set of middle-grade magical instruments, jade knives, which turned out to be flying knives with wood attributes. 1 mother and 6 sons, a set can form a formation. If there is enough time to form a formation, the power is comparable to that of a top-grade magical instrument. It is just right for him. In addition to the flying knives, there are also 150 spiritual stones in the cloth bag. It can be said that this legacy alone is enough to make up for Luo Chen's losses, and he made a lot of money. And the master who was strangled by him was even more powerful. Top-grade flying swords and low-grade flying magical instruments are all hot items when sold. But Luo Chen has not figured out how to deal with them yet. After all, this thing is hot. That guy should be a cultivator at the 5th level of key refining, but he has a lot of good stuff. He used the God-walking talisman to appear, and the fiery sun talisman to destroy the house. He was wearing a high-quality Taoist robe with inner armor inside. He used a high-quality flying sword when he attacked, and even had a guarding earth shield talisman. If he added the flying magic weapon, the lotus leaf flying disc, he was armed to the teeth. Luo Chen rarely saw such luxurious configuration in the outer city. If the other party had not despised him, and he had not engraved the soul-breaking nail that could break the armor of the 2nd level formation, he would definitely have died in the end by sneak attack. But killing him would be killing him. Luo Chen had long since looked down on him. Of course, considering the other party's deep background and possible revenge, Luo Chen dealt with the traces at the first time, and then retreated into the city. Those traces could not be hidden for long. But hiding it for a day is a day. The enemy can't run to the inner city to kill him. The rules set by the Jading Sword sect, no one wants to provoke with his life. Recently, you should be more careful, and the lost medicinal materials should be replenished as soon as possible. Only by earning enough spirit stones can we get rid of the current predicament of slow cultivation. After taking out all the things, Luo Chen looked at the empty big room. When I go out to buy medicinal materials tomorrow, buy a few shelves to separate the space. You also need to buy dustpans, pestles, peach wood, and fragrant for wood. Oh, by the way, I have to buy a chamber pot. Before practicing, Luo Chen missed the house with a yard, a large playground, and a stream. At that time, he could pee without any scruples. Unlike now, the money from pouring night incense every month is enough for him to pay 2 months' rent. However, this kind of complaint After practicing Chongqun Gong once, Luo Chen completely disappeared. Is this the charm of the first level spirit vein? It's a new week. Brothers, click on the new chapter content every day to keep reading. If you have extra recommendation tickets and monthly tickets, you can also vote. Zongmiao thanks everyone. In addition, thank you brothers and sisters who have rewarded and supported since the opening of the book. The following is the list of people who gave rewards: Su 693 Kidian coins, Zhuanjiao Meter 100 Kidian coins, Zixia Benayu 500 Kidian coins, Xianzhabe 100 Kidian coins, and the pseudo-uncle who played with swords 600 Kidian coins. It is difficult to check the names of those who gave rewards to Duandan, but Xiaoyu is very grateful. Chapter 25 Jade Knife, Mandarin Duck Axe. There is spiritual energy in the outer city. Whether it is naturally filled between heaven and earth, or overflowed from the millions of mountains in the east wilderness, or dispersed from the inner city, there is more or less spiritual energy. Otherwise, there would not be so many independent cultivators gathering from all over. But that concentration of spiritual energy is barely enough for people to practice. It is really a stretch. Luo Chen practiced hard before, and the realm progress bar would only move a little bit in half a month. In other words, if he wants to fill the 100-point progress bar of the third level of key refining, it will take a full 4 or 5 years. In the meantime, he cannot use spiritual power indiscriminately to ensure that every practice has gains. In fact, the original owner did endure for more than 3 years, but his cultivation did not make any progress. Of course, there are also reasons for struggling to make a living and not having enough time to practice. It was only after Luo Chen traveled through time that he relied on the proficiency panel to improve the proficiency of Chongqun Gong to the mastery level, and then improved the situation little by little. Even in this case, the progress bar was stuck in the 70s for a long time. In the end, Luo Chen relied on a bottle of key nourishing pills and the perfect level of Chongqun Gong to break through to the 4th level with difficulty. But if, at that time, he was practicing in the inner city, this time can be shortened by at least 1/3. This is the charm of the spirit vein. And this is a first level spirit vein. It's hard to imagine how fast the cultivation speed of the sect disciples who are in the 2nd level and 3rd level spirit veins will be. Luo Chen sighed 3 times in a row, which shows that he was not calm. If he were in those places, would he be able to cultivate to the 9th level of key refining before his life ended? Luo Chen didn't know, he only knew that his life was much better than before. Next, he must work hard to live in the inner city for a long time, which is the real place for cultivation. It's not the turbid place in the outer city that is mixed with mud and feces, and there is a smell of blood from time to time. However, this sigh was forced by Luo Chen to be cold at midnight. Why is it so cold? Even my physique at the 4th level of key refining can't stand it. I must buy a quilt tomorrow. No, it's too cold to sleep at all. Luo Chen got up from the bed and decided to find something to do. It's not possible to process medicinal materials, because there are no tools and some ingredients. Luo Chen took out the set of jade knives and tried to inject spiritual power into them. Buzz! A crisp buzzing sound was heard, but the 7 flying knives did not move. What's wrong? He thought about it and injected spiritual power into each one, until he injected spiritual power into the largest wooden knife, and then all 7 knives glowed with green light. It turns out that the sub-blades are controlled by the mother blade. After realizing this truth, Luo Chen became more and more excited to play with them. Under his control, the 7 flying knives flew around him slowly like floating cannons. Go! Luo Chen pointed at the corner of the wall and a sub-blade flew out suddenly. Like an arrow, the sub-blade made a buzzing sound and pierced into the ground with a sharp sound. It was very fast and powerful. The blue brick ground was pierced like tofu. And this was just one sub-blade. What if all 7 blades were used at the same time? What if the 7 blades formed a formation that could attack or defend? Luo Chen was very interested, and then ran to the corner awkwardly and pulled out the small wooden sword. I have to buy a book on the traction technique. I can't save this money. Yes, he hasn't learned the traction technique yet, so his magic power can only go straight. That is the kind of I only care about the force, you are responsible for the miracle style of play. The soul-breaking nail is fine, it can only go out and never return. But this set of jade knives is about advancing and retreating freely, and turning trees into a forest. If there is no traction technique, it is really a waste of this set of magic tools. After playing with the jade knife for a while, Luo Chen reluctantly put it into the storage bag. In theory, the traction technique is actually a flexible application of spiritual power. If you are familiar with spiritual power enough, even if you don't know this set of spells, you can freely control various magic tools. But it is obvious that Luo Chen does not have this proficiency and understanding. In other words, most low-level cultivators cannot do that. There is not much spiritual power, so how can you get familiar with it? Therefore, this is why people with high cultivation have created the pioneering work of traction for low-level cultivators. Instead of playing with a jade knife, Luo Chen has other things to kill time. Qigong and reading. It just so happens that the room has not been furnished yet, so the space is large enough. Zia or Yao is not just a Qigong that pursues speed. When it is practiced to a high level, it is more about being free and unhurried. Luo Chen moved around the room, either on the roof or on the ground, and tried to restrain his strength every time. Not to mention, compared with a previous running with great momentum, there is another experience. In his hand is the Six Realms Customs Record. Luo Chen has only read half of it. Before, he knew the most about the Jading Sword sect and the Hehuan sect. After all, one is a local sect, and the other is a sect with more romantic stories. The Six Assassins of Xianfan City, Yuanang Yu Qingcheng, are rare female warriors among the Jinden cultivators. The two Yuanang Yus, mother and child, have the power to turn the world upside down and separate yin and yang. Luo Chen was amazed. Among the 6 major sects in the 6 regions of the Far East, one is famous for casting weapons, and that is Xianfan City. Wanbao Tower and Dahofeng is the industry of Xianfan City. This sect is very good at casting weapons. In addition to common magic weapons, they also like to cast various strange weapons. Over the years, they have cast 6 powerful and strange magic weapons. Xianfan City gave them to the 6 Jinden cultivators, and over the years, they have made a great reputation. Just like the Yuanang Yu Qingcheng he is looking at now, it took 10 years to build the foundation and 100 years to form the elixir. Although she has never participated in the War of Development, she has now made a great reputation among the Jinden cultivators. Relying on the Mandarin Duck Axe magic weapon, she opened up the situation for the Xianfan City industry in the territory outside the 6 regions of the Far East. After reading the deeds of this female cultivator, Luo Chen was impressed by her strength, but he only got one experience. It turns out that the big guys in the Jinden period also have to work hard to earn spiritual stones. What I am doing now is actually no different from them. In other words, I am equal to the big guys in the Jinden period. Squeak. The layout of this courtyard is very traditional, and the gate and the back house are adjacent. Therefore, when Luo Chen got up early in the morning and was about to go out to purchase, he happened to meet the girl Kai who came back from get off work. Good morning. Good morning, Wu Kai yawned, and her slender waist attracted attention. You came back so late. Kai said helplessly, the business in Xiangxianglao has been too good recently, and we dancers and singers can only bear the burden. Too good? Hasn't the business of Xiangxianglao always been good? Looking at Luo Chen who was about to go out, Kai asked curiously, are you going out? By the way, I haven't asked you what you do. You have spirit stones and come to live in the inner city at the 4th level of key refining. I refine pills. I usually set up a stall at the Sangxiu market in the south of the city. If you want to buy anything, I can bring it back for you. Luo Chen said. Alchemist. Kai's sleepiness disappeared instantly. Her neighbor was so powerful. Let's talk later. I'm busy today. Luo Chen waved his hand and hurried out the door. Kai leaned against the door, watching Luo Chen's back as he left, wondering what he was thinking. It's Monday, brothers and sisters, please give me some money. If you give the money to others, you can also give Luo Chen a red heart at the end. Love you guys, heart. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.